You sound so sad when you say that.
Well, because this intro isn't as funny.
Yeah, it just like sucked all the energy out of it.
So now our intro, the other intro that we're not using is better.
So if you're wondering, we had this amazing intro earlier that Jason just shot down.
It wasn't amazing.
You know, overall enthusiasm isn't as high, but
listen,
you know what? My overall spirit is just because, you know, it was my last day at an elementary school that I worked at for the past 8 years, and, you know, starting life in the video game industry next week.
Yeah, congratulations. That doesn't mean we're
somewhat
going
relevant
anywhere.
to the podcast.
Necessary. Yeah,
I shouldn't be on Twitter while we're on the podcast.
This is almost as great of a start as the last one, but yeah, this is. You would think after 222 episodes, that's the number you guys were looking for earlier. 222 episodes. You would think by now we'd know what we're doing. But yeah, we're the palindrome episode. There's only one of those every 111.
I thought you were gonna make a palindrome right now.
No,
I'm so disappointed.
No. So until you get to 1,000. Anyway, this episode's called All.
No, because at episode 313, that's also a palindrome. You think about it.
Oh.
Race car.
No, like every 11.
No, not for a while. Anyway, this episode's number 222. We're calling this episode. This is a first. Neither of them know it. All Scrambled Up. Because later in the show, you'll explain. Later in the show, we'll be. Thank you.
It's not great either.
But later in the show, we're going to be going, or you, Kevin.
It's middle of the road.
Kevin's going to be going hands-on with the upcoming Persona 5 Scramble. Thank you. But
not the good kind of Jason.
What?
Yeah.
Not the good kind of Jason.
There's like 10% good in you, and the rest is like we just.
That's unfortunate. But anyway, the reason we're calling it that is not just because of Persona 5 Scramble, which again Kevin has impressions of later in the show. It comes out in a couple of weeks, but really, it's more than that because like. As we just talked about, we've been doing this for a while, right? 222 episodes. And after covering Nintendo and gaming for all those episodes, all those years, you kind of like, at some point, after a certain point, you kind of know what to expect from the news, like, especially as we've been following gaming for like a couple of decades. There's a certain level of... What?
It doesn't take that long.
Yeah. But my point is, like, there's a certain level of expectation. And, you know things like Nintendo's never going to give their IP to someone else to put on a different console. E3 is always going to be the central place for video games once a year. You know, small stuff like Professor Oak is the Professor Oak. There's not multiple Professor Oak. But all these things these past few weeks have been completely upended. All the expectations scrambled. Hence, all scrambled up. So that's where episode's how it comes from. In this episode, we are talking about exactly those things. Wonderful 101 going multi-platform. Our impressions of Pokemon Home. The rapidly changing face of E3. Bunch of other stuff. Those NES and Super Nintendo games coming to Switch Online, which are questionable at best. So we have timestamps for all that over at ramtown.com. Or if you're on the YouTube video... It's under this video, but yeah. Well, frankly, actually, I'm not even sure why all these unexpected kind of bizarre things are happening at once. Like my only theory is that much like how the moon can affect the tides. I feel like maybe the longer we go between Nintendo Directs, the more confusing Nintendo news becomes because it doesn't know what to do with itself. Because believe it or not that it necessarily matters, but we're currently in the single longest gap of Nintendo Direct since they started doing them in 2011.
But isn't that if you ignore the mini?
Now, yeah, so granted, if you exclude game-specific ones and the indie presentation, which was never considered a Direct, really. So if you exclude the Pokemon Direct for Sword and Shield, the Sakurai presentation for Terry and Byleth, and Indie Showcase, we have not had a multi-game presentation of first-party games since September 4th, 2019. But I do feel like... yeah, it's kind of cheating to say there's been nothing because there has been those. And it's one of those things that, like, in due time, we're going to have one. Like, we basically know nothing about their plans after the start of fiscal year in April. We know No More Heroes is coming, Bravely Default 2 is coming, that Xenoblade Remaster is coming, but time frame, who knows? And what other games are coming this year? Who knows? But it's not like Nintendo won't tell us. So I do find it kind of funny that, I don't know if you guys have been paying attention to the internet, but everyone's freaking out about the lack of directs. And every little thing's becoming a rumor every time.
If I were Nintendo, I would just not do one and just keep doing what they're doing. Maybe just like make Nintendo the game-specific direct for every single one of those games that they would have announced in a direct. I don't know.
But the thing is, those directs have like 25 games. How often are they going to make you watch a 10-minute presentation? You need some sort of like digestible. It's like
but if you watch those directs, and which you obviously do, like not all of those games. I would even say like half of them. Like you could like. Not even put in the direct, and they could have like their own little just like trailer getting revealed because they're not like these big games.
Exactly. So for that purpose, you want to give them the bigger spotlight because no one's going to watch them otherwise.
Well, I mean,
right? Like for the developers, for the publishers, like you kind of want to give them that moment.
But I feel like they get ignored as much as they would have.
I mean, it's kind of like you can watch a deep dive on one topic on like 2020 or Dateline or something, or you can watch like the day, like the nightly news that goes through everything that happened in the day. which one are you going to invest the time in? More people will do the surface level stuff. But at least that's my take on it. But I do think, like, the nice thing about doing the game-specific directs is they're not going to do those, like, crazy long 35 minutes. Here's everything you need to know about Mario Kart 8 in excruciating detail. Or here's a direct, but really 30 out of 40 minutes are all just Smash Bros. Like, they are kind of breaking it up. But it feels like you're about to say something, Kevin. You're making faces at me.
I'd much rather have the excuse me, the directs with the multiple games, honestly.
Yeah, me too. I'm just saying, like, at least when they do it this way, they could branch out the longer segments and then just do the rapid fire. Like, I think the minis are the best presentation because that's like 15 minutes. They just go boom, 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 and announce a bunch of stuff.
What was the last big direct?
September 4th, 2019.
What was on that one?
Oh man,
Luigi's Mansion,
I thought I had everything.
They revealed the Final Fantasy games coming to Switch.
Also, other things.
Was that the
when Banjo got announced to be coming out that same day?
Was that when Encore was announced?
Maybe
it was, right?
That was the one, like, right after it. Sakurai had the 30-minute long Banjo presentation.
That's one that was back to back. It I can tell you what else there was. I think Tokyo Mirage was teased in it. Maybe.
Oh, was it the one with
there's
Deadly?
A lot.
It was the one with Deadly Premonition 2, right?
And Overwatch. And Tokyo Mirage Sessions.
Mm-hmm.
And Pokemon Sword and Shield update, and Tetris 99 version 2.0, and Mario and Sonic, and a bunch of other stuff. Link's Awakening updates.
I wouldn't really say that one was great.
It was 38 minutes long.
It was fine.
That doesn't mean anything.
No, I'm just saying.
38 minutes long, so it was 8 minutes long, and then the 30-minute Sakurai thing.
No, that was separate from
that was a joke.
Oh, this guy. But
I'm done with this podcast.
But yeah, it's I do think the minis are better for it, but it is kind of funny to watch the internet. Like, Nintendo uploaded a private video to their YouTube on Thursday. It's like, oh, there's going to be a direct tomorrow, and everyone freaks out, and of course nothing happens, and it just keeps happening over and over and over. And I do understand why people are, like, passionate about wanting one, but Nintendo will get there, because,
getting mad is another thing. Nintendo fans seem to have an
entitlement problem.
Well, I mean, I guess a lot of fandoms do in general, but it just gets really ugly when you see the comments. But luckily, I don't. So it's
I do think that, like, the other side of it is, like, there could be a very good reason we haven't had one. Like, everyone's like, oh, why is Nintendo not telling us anything? But, like, remember what happened with Luigi's Mansion 3, where, like, they revealed it back in fall of, like, 2018 or something. Then they did some directs after that, first half of 2019. No Luigi. It completely vanished off the map. Then at E3, there it was playable, but they couldn't confirm a date. They kept saying 2019, probably. And then only in that September direct did they finally say, okay, Halloween, which was like 8 weeks in advance. So if you assume, let's say they have that issue where they can't quite lock down a game yet, for let's say 3 of their big games in the direct, Xenoblade, No More Heroes, Bravely Default 2, like, they're all coming this year, but they can't figure out when exactly. I feel like doing a direct where it's like, remember those games we told you were coming? Well, they're still coming. And that's all they say. Like, that doesn't really give you much. But they could kind of, like, prime the pump a bit if they
I feel like more recently, whenever they reveal a game, the game usually comes out soon. Like,
that's
which one was the first one that I think Super Mario Maker, like,
yep,
when they got a reveal trailer, it was out just like in a couple of
3 months. They've been doing that a lot, the shorter.
Yeah.
So I think that's why I think they're not doing a direct, because I don't think they have anything quite ready, and they're still locking down the dates the same way they did with Luigi. But instead of giving us a year in advance tease and then another tease and then another tease, they're just waiting until they can.
It's that thing where they want to generate a little bit of hype, where it's like, and it's out in 2 weeks,
right? Yeah, and they've been doing that more and more since, like, the Wii U days, so it makes sense. But so that, I think that's why we're having no direct. But it is kind of bizarre nonetheless. That said, we have been having all this weird loose odds and ends of news. I mean, obviously there was the DLC we talked about. But in tandem with all this is, like, the weird news that's been happening, and I think perhaps the biggest of the bunch is that Nintendo seems to be loosening its grip on some of its IPs, specifically the Wonderful 101, which literally the day after our last episode, Platinum Games, developer of Wonderful 101, launched a Kickstarter to bring the game back in remastered form to Switch and PS4 and PC. And what's interesting here is, besides just the fact that a game well deserving of a second chance is now getting that, Wonderful 101 is actually co-owned by and trademarked by Nintendo. So basically Nintendo gave what amounts to one of their own IPs to Platinum Games so they could launch this Kickstarter and bring it to competing systems. It's a Kickstarter for a game that not only has already hit its goal, but will be coming to Switch in 2 months, in April. So it's not even like a Kickstarter in the traditional sense. So there's like a lot to unpack there. But before we do that, let's back up a sec. Give some credit to the game itself, because when I said it was deserving of a second chance, like it really was. Like Wonderful 101's a lot of fun, unique action game. I feel like a lot of people slept on it back on the Wii U and didn't really pay attention to it. And that's with Nintendo doing heavy promotion. I don't know if you guys remember those Wonderful Wednesday presentations they did, and then they had a dedicated Direct and all sorts of other stuff. But yeah, it's now getting a second lease on life. So I mean, Kevin, did you ever? I know Angel did, because we talked about it way back in 2013. Did you ever play Wonderful 101?
Negative.
Did you ever have interest in Wonderful 101?
Not really. I do like Platinum games, but that one just never got my attention.
Yeah, it's very over the top, but it definitely really deserves a second chance, like Jason said. It's just a shame that it was on the Wii U. Not that the Wii U sucked,
you want to like sum up in like a couple sentences what it is for people who maybe, because no one played it. Like literally nobody played it. Like it's. I mean, I can do it too if you don't want to.
Oh no, I'm just trying to.
You just stared at me like.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I'm sure you have a much more efficient way of describing it than I probably could have come up with. So
sure.
So give me what you have.
All right,
the better version of what I was going to say.
So basically, it's an action game like all of Platinum Games' other action games, but the difference is you have up to 101 heroes you're recruiting to complete your actions by making these heroes do formations and have special powers. So you go like environment to environment, level to level, and you're piling on more and more heroes to do these special attacks. And for me, what made the game kind of stand out is just the fact that it was, to Angel's point, very over the top. It's very comfortable being ridiculous. It like walked the line really well between paying homage to like cheesy superhero shows and things like Power Rangers and being one of those things without it being too, over the top. Like it was over the top, but it like was comfortable in its.
I mean, at its core, it definitely played like all the other Platinum games.
Yeah.
Like, don't let the fact that there's 100 of these characters like you don't really have to manage them. Like, they don't take damage on their own if they get hit. Like, it's only when you're like in these formations that like they'll get knocked out and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I mean, like, and what's really cool about the game is, I mean, the only thing that I guess will turn some people off that, I guess in other games when you could switch between weapons like mid combo or that kind of stuff, like in Bayonetta, like in this one you have to do like, I guess, gestures with the stylus, or I guess in this port's case you're gonna well, actually you could have done it in the original version too. You hold the R button, then you do like a big circle so you could have like the bomb, or you could do like a straight line so you could have the sword, and you could do that mid combo to extend them. You could make them small so you could have a tiny fist. You could do quicker punches or make it a big fist so you could do a little more damage.
Sounds like a Okami kind of.
Yeah,
it's like rapid fire Okami.
It's literally like Okami.
It's Okami skin like Beautiful Joe with the wackiness of Power Rangers and a good variety of moves and activities. Because like besides just doing the normal action, there was like a Punch Out homage at one point. There's something that's kind of
I
like
would say
Mr. Driller
this is definitely
at one point.
like of all the Platinum games, I think this is the one that like goes like it's at its peak like Platinum as far as like over the topness.
Oh yeah, and
like Bayonetta like gets crazy, but I think like this one like it literally has its cake and eats it too, but like in a good way. Like it does everything. Like I don't know.
Where would you rank it against the others? Where would you rank it against the others?
I mean, just like
as an overall experience that you enjoyed, or just you, like which of the Platinum games? Because you play them. Which is like your peak? Which is your favorite Platinum game, and where does this compare? Or is this that one?
It would definitely be this one. This is like the one that I would probably say like if you're gonna play one Platinum game, you would have to play this one.
This is probably the most Platinum.
Because I feel like this one like almost like defines like their like like their humor, like their type of action, the type of difficulty, the type of story. Because I mean, a lot of Platinum games like have, well, I mean mainly Bayonetta and this one, but like you know, a lot of them have like that kind of like, oh, you fight like you have your rival, you start like, you know, small. It's
right.
There's parallels in all of these stories, but it's also, I don't know, it's also kind of anime. You know,
I feel like it's more to kind of.
I feel like this is clearly their favorite. Yeah. The fact that they're going out of their way to like port this.
I do think, and I think part of it is like, yeah, it's definitely their favorite child in some degree. But I also think like it has a good amount of depth.
You could tell they have so much fun making this game.
Yeah, and it has like a lot of depth you don't really notice because like there's the combat system, which is one thing which all the Bayonettas, all the Platinum games, all the Bayonettas they make have. But
all three of them. We're still waiting on the third, I guess.
But but there's also like each individual hero can be ranked up separately and triggers, not all of them, but like there's a bunch of individual heroes that be ranked up separately, trigger different special moves. So actually, in a way, has more replayability even than the other Platinum games for that reason. I mean, I think personally, I just really love the aesthetic of Astral Chain, so I might rank that a little higher. But this is like I rank this above the Bayonettas for sure. So, or at least, yeah, I've played. Well, I guess there's only 2 that's out, so I played the 2 that are out.
And I mean, I'm just talking like spectacle wise. I mean, obviously, if you talked about like the core gameplay mechanics, you could kind of go with. I mean, if you don't like the way you have to change between the hero attacks, I mean, I actually personally like the way you fight in Bayonetta more. Like, I think that one's a little more fun. But this one's like story wise, or just like as a game you just experience. Like, yeah, I would definitely give it to this one.
Yeah, and to your point about drawing the shapes, if you're on the Switch version, you'll still be able to in handheld mode. And then for PC, PS4, and TV mode of Switch, it will use the right stick.
Which
Which
is not a game you would want to play in handheld mode, though.
Yeah, because it's going to be super condensed and packed.
Yeah, this game has like a tilt-shift camera kind of thing going on that makes everything look miniature, which looks really cool on a TV, but if you had to play it on something tiny, it's just going to look microscopic. So. It
is a really cool fact. But, to that point, they're not planning necessarily to add new stuff to the game. Well, now they are because they hit some stretch goals. But I'll get to that in a sec. But they are cleaning up some UI, and they are cleaning up some of that other stuff because of how, the tilt shift and how cluttered it can get. Because they're taking what was on 2 screens and putting it on 1. Which actually I'm really curious to see how they do. Because like the controls, okay, you don't have a gamepad, you don't touch anything, fine. In fact, now that I think about it, I think I actually preferred using the stick even on the Wii U version. Weirdly enough. Because like I remember the gamepad, it was so, you had to get the exact shape. So it's like, draw this like crooked L. If you didn't do the angle, or if you drew the L too long on one side, it'd be like, nope, that's not the L. It's like, wait, hold on. But
it is in the beginning, but I mean, I don't want to say like oh, we'll just get good, but I mean, it's definitely something that becomes a non-issue.
But that is something that I think I actually remember commenting on way back when was it sort of throws you in without much explanation, or like you need to do it exactly this way. Like there's a lot like items they don't tell you about. There's little things in corners they don't tell you about, but they're cleaning that up. So apparently they've heard that feedback. So the thing they are changing in the game, in the core game, is they're cleaning up the UI, and they are basically improving the lack of hand-holding. They're not going to go full hand-holding, but they'll have more tutorial stuff.
It really just affects, like, to make, like, the whip, you have to do, like, a quick curl, but to do a bomb, you have to do a big circle. So if you're doing it really fast, like, on the fly, you might, make a quick curl when you're trying to do the bomb, and you might get the whip.
Yeah. So it's like that sort of stuff they're going to clean up. But and then if for the remaster, because it's hit 2 stretch goals, we're also getting 2 entirely new side-scrolling adventures called the first Luca's First Mission. And actually, the second stretch goal hasn't been met as of when I looked at the numbers. It's coming up, but that one's going to be the second mission.
Even with all the money
they're at 1.6 million out of 2 million to get to the second stretch goal.
Jesus.
But what I'm mostly curious about is, so they're doing the UI stuff, whatever, but I don't know how they're going to fully replace some other elements of the gamepad, like the puzzle elements and the gameplay elements, because even stuff like if you go into a building, it would show up on the gamepad. Think like how Four Swords Adventures on GameCube, you go in a room and you're on your Game Boy.
Yeah, but when you did that on the TV, like it would literally just overlay it on the TV.
Yeah, so I was about to say that one seems somewhat okay, but they have to redo some puzzles for that, I feel like. Because I remember there's one in a
literally nothing was going on the TV when you were doing that. Cause you had
No, there was. No, don't you remember the baseball stadium in Wonderful 101? Where, like,
yeah.
It was like Simon Says, kind of, where like on one screen it's telling you what to do and you have to do it on the other screen and keep looking back and forth. That's basically worthless if they're on the same screen. It's like, oh, I do the thing that's right there. And they're like, and they had like little number saves where you have to like crack the code on one, but it's like loses the franticness.
I had to look back up.
Well, I mean, the idea was the franticness of having to keep changing views. There's no franticness if it's in your face the whole time. There's like a boss fight. It needs, so I'm sure they're going to tweak that and change that in some way. But I'm curious to see to what extent they do that. Because some of it wasn't frantic. Like the thing where you had to go and open safes, or not open safes, but you go into like buildings and there's like a count of how many things you had to hit a certain number from inside the building. Like, oh, the number's on a TV. I now know the number. Let me just stare at the gamepad the whole time. But the other one, you're quickly going back and forth. So
definitely something.
So we'll see what they do.
Yeah. I mean, at least it's like a part of the game. Honestly, like I had even completely forgotten that was even a part of it.
Yeah.
I just because when you're playing the game, like those just kind of happen, and you remember the combat more and some of the environmental puzzles that just happen like as you're playing that don't involve the 2-screen thing. I feel like
I mean, it's not going to make or break it. I'm just curious how they're going to address it, because they have to in some capacity. So is it going to be just, we just put it on the same screen, or are they going to tweak it so it's a little more challenging, or what? So we'll see. But that's all just the actual game. Everything surrounding it is kind of weird and crazy, because like I was saying before, there's a lot to unpack here, because none of what I said at the top, a Nintendo-owned IP going multi-platform with a Kickstarter that will see its release in 2 months, like, that's not typical for any crowdfunded game. I mean, normally it's a new IP or some super old one that's rescued by another company. Normally, hitting its goal means development will maybe start in 2 months. The thing won't be out in 2 months. And yet, here we are, Wonderful 101 on Switch in April.
I feel like they must have been working on this already.
Yeah, that's what I think is kind of what happened here. That might be the easiest to explain, actually, because the Switch version, I think you're right, was probably done, frankly. Yeah. Like, they've
been talking about it forever.
They've been talking about it for like a year. They've been hinting at it forever. And, there are rumors from various quote-unquote insiders who have been right before, like Emily Rogers and them, that this game was coming to Switch. So I think it was done. But I think and actually they went on record that Nintendo told them, hey, if you want to bring it to Switch, you can do it with us or go out on your own. So if I were a betting man, I would bet you that, that initial Switch port was done with the intention that Nintendo would publish it. And then, as evident by other comments from Platinum in other interviews they've been doing after the Kickstarter, they probably felt there's a bigger audience to reach and decided to take the gamble of, well, what if we do it ourselves? And that's probably why the Switch port only cost $50,000 to hit the goal of, but the PC port cost $200,000 and the PS4 port cost $500,000. Because basically the $50,000 was Platinum going, okay, can we get this in stores? How we distribute it? It's already done. And the others are like, okay, can we build a game now, a port now?
So I'm sure that they would have had Nintendo publish it, but then remember they just got that investment from Tencent, and that's probably what pushed them over the top to be like, oh no, we could do this ourselves.
Exactly, and then when they could do it themselves, they could reach a bigger audience. Yeah. And I think it's obvious this thing's right, because like Platinum's gonna have a working demo of Wonderful 101 on Switch at PAX East in like a month, literally the week after. No, not even the week, a few days after the Kickstarter ends. So clearly one thing is ready. They decided to hedge their bets, and it worked out for them because $1.6 million. The game had a listed goal of $50,000 initially.
Yeah. Good for Platinum. They're a great dev.
Yeah, they got more donations in the first hour of the campaign, or more backers in the first hour of the campaign, than the entire first week's sales of the game in Japan on Wii U. Like, so it clearly found an audience now. Are you going to double? Well, actually, Kevin, you might get.
Yeah.
What about you, Angel? You going to double dip? Yeah, I feel like I'm not either.
If I really wanted to, I could just replay it on the Switch.
Yeah, you mean the Wii?
Whatever.
Yeah, that's how little he can.
It's still hooked up to your.
No, it's not hooked up anymore. But I mean, I've been quote unquote like, I don't know, wanting to play it, but not that much. Which kind of reminds me, you didn't bring Beautiful Joe, did you? Or
not with me, but I'll remember for next time. I was supposed to bring it.
Or that other game, A Link Between Worlds.
A Link Between Worlds. You need to remind me to bring these things.
Well, I figured when you said I'll definitely bring it next time that,
I didn't say definitely. I just said I would.
Well, I mean, regardless.
Definitely is a stronger word.
I mean,
don't put me on blast like this.
Well,
I'm only deserving of 2/3 of your blast, but you're giving me 100% of your blast.
Well, you said you would, so I mean.
And then I didn't. I still failed you, but I didn't definitely fail you. I just normal failed you. But yeah, I don't think I would back it. But you know someone. I love this story. You know who did back it? I can't believe this is a real story. Cisco. The guy that sung
Cisco's a huge gamer.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
He's friends with the kind of funny guys.
It's not important. It's just like a funny weird thing. The guy that sung the thong song back in the late 90s.
Let me see that thong.
Something scandalous.
The thong.
Oh,
that's what.
Yeah.
I recognize that chorus, but
yeah. So that guy, he was part of Drew Hill and some other hip hop group at one point. Anyway, that guy.
Big news now?
Well, it's just funny that like this dude who was a one-hit wonder in 1999 is suddenly like not just like I'm backing the game, but yeah, is apparently a big gamer. His son's name's Ryu. He's a huge Switch fan. He was like talking about like in some interview with US Gamer that he like just beat Luigi's Mansion 3 and Tokyo Mirage Sessions is what he's playing right now. Along with Darksiders and Witcher and all sorts of other stuff.
Just like us.
No, what's funny is he's trying to use his celebrity to get in the game. He is putting in a request with Platinum and using all his contacts to try and get in touch with Platinum so he can be a cameo in the game, or at the very least, in his words, a palette swap. Which is just like, what? Like if you told me, hey, Cisco's going to be in Wonderful 101 when it comes out on Switch after Nintendo gives up the IP for Platinum to bring it to other systems, I'd be like, wait, what? But yeah, so...
Well, given what we just talked about with the Switch one, I guess it sounds less likely. Or
that he'll be in it, or that what? What's less likely?
Well, I mean, the game is coming. Well, I guess with.
I mean, they could do it as DLC. Yeah. They're already patching. I mean, I don't think he's gonna be in it regardless, but like.
Yeah, Kami has no time for this.
No, he would block him on Twitter. Actually, that's one of the goals if you do the Kickstarter is he will block you on Twitter, and then there's another goal. I think it's beyond the 2 million for the second story mode, where he will unblock everyone he's ever blocked on Twitter. Which is bold. But Cisco aside and all that, the other question about all this is, so we know why Platinum's doing it. They see an opportunity, but why would Nintendo give up their IP, take what was a second-party game, and bring it to other systems?
Because they weren't ever going to do anything with that IP. Not only that, but you're seeing this a lot more common with some of the other publishers. Well, like Sony, for instance. They definitely
Horizon,
aren't
right?
not necessarily Horizon, because that is a first-party studio, but with Death Stranding.
Yeah, that's true.
They're letting 505 Games publish that on the PC.
Yeah.
And, well, I guess less with Xbox, but you saw Ori and the Blind Forest on Switch. Right. Has that come out yet?
The original did, yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I think.
Cuphead.
So there is part.
Cuphead is technically a second party.
There is part of me that thinks it's just Nintendo being nice to their friends, because like Platinum does a lot of stuff for them: Bayonetta, Astral Chain, Wonderful 101, and as you point out, it's kind of a dead IP, so why not? But there's also a part of me that thinks this is some weird sort of outreach play for the IP itself, because by allowing Platinum to take One for One multi-platform and potentially build some sort of audience for it, Nintendo's basically subtly opening up the possibility
free marketing
of
for number 102.
Exactly, and should it blow up or even do better than 101, that could pave the way for then a Switch exclusive Wonderful 102.
So are they still co-owners of the IP, or
yeah.
did the entire IP go to Platinum?
It sounds like they're licensing it to Nintendo's licensing it to them.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, and it's like a game like Astral Chain, they would never do this, because Astral Chain that's and that's sold like 1 million copies, and Platinum. Yeah, and Platinum even said in an interview, I think it was just Video Game Chronicle, where they were just like, "Yep, this is a one-off favor from Nintendo. There's no way Astral's ever gonna see a similar thing." But Astral Chain is literally the same deal. It's the exact same split of copyright and trademark between them. But yeah, I think like One for One, it kind of makes sense. I mean, literally what it is their mobile game strategy. It's just applied outside mobile games. It's what Xbox is doing, like you said. It's what they're all doing. It's what Nintendo likes to say their mobile strategy is. Not to go on too much of a tangent here, but the QA transcript from their investor briefing was released last week, and one of the things that they said was the primary purpose of their mobile games and this whole strategy of expanding IP was to bring into contact with Nintendo's games and characters the vast number of consumers who cannot be reached via a dedicated system. Which, okay, sure, that's admirable. That's what they've always said. But I wouldn't say they contradict that, but it doesn't fully line up with their president Shintaro Furukawa also previously saying that his goal is to make mobile $1 billion pillar. Like, if one's just to get the games in front of as many people as possible, and the other is to monetize them as much as possible, I mean, I guess they don't clash, but they're not perfectly lockstep either. And actions kind of speak louder than words. So, I'm pretty sure that $1 billion pillar is still there, whether they say it or not. As much as they say, "Oh, this is an IP outreach," as much as Wonderful 101 mirrors that. Do you guys hear what happened with Fire Emblem Heroes a couple weeks ago?
No.
So they announced a monthly premium
pass. What happened?
They announced a monthly premium pass is what
Whoa.
happened. It costs...
I'm kidding. That's actually...
It costs... You ready for this? It costs $9.49. And for $9.49 per month, you get... Oh, and actually, let me back that up. To be clear, this is a $9.49 charge that is separate from the $5 monthly charge for Mario Kart, which is also separate from the $3 and $7 charges for Animal Crossing.
But it's still a better deal than the Diddy Kong bundle.
I don't... Well, here's what you get with what they're calling...
I'm sorry?
So the Diddy Kong... Yeah, it's a meme.
It's a running joke that... Because in Mario Kart World Tour, there's like a Diddy Kong bundle that costs like $30. Either you get Diddy Kong, his cart, and like a few other things for the mobile game.
Diddy Kong is nowhere near...
No.
$30.
Which Kong in your mind is worth $30?
Funky Kong.
I agree.
And someone made a Twitter account where they just compare like
everything.
And sometimes like really good. Like, I can't believe this is like $30 and you get all of this. And here's Diddy Kong's $30.
Or like
bundle.
They were like, what was the one
like
they did?
The Witcher 3 with DLC.
Exactly. But
stuff like that.
And this is kind of on that scale because for $10 a month, they're calling this the Feh Pass, which sounds an awful lot like Meh Pass, which is probably a more apt descriptor. But you get access to 2 new heroes a month. New quests that give you alternate ways to get some in-game items and some exclusive art.
2 new like lottery runs, or
2 set heroes. 2 set heroes, and on some level, It's kind of lame because this means they're actually legitimately paywalling certain characters and certain gameplay. It's not through the gacha system. They're only this way. But I think
the myth of it wasn't Fire Emblem doing well on its own.
Yeah, that's the thing. It made over $600 million in revenue.
Sounds like they're just getting really greedy. Yeah.
And the bigger thing is that
Nintendo's best Nintendo. I always say.
greedy. It's weird because greedy Nintendo is mobile Nintendo.
Oh, you're tearing up.
I am. It's really affecting me. No, greedy Nintendo is mobile Nintendo, which is somehow different in noticeable ways from console Nintendo, which is still somewhat not money grab McGee over there. But yeah, what I was gonna say is you do realize, maybe you don't. $10 a month. Sorry, $9.49 for 2 heroes, some art, and some extra items and a couple quests.
Home.
Well, that's like less. I think that's $5 a year or something, or
5 a year,
15 a year, 15 a year.
Oh, okay.
But regardless, $10 a month, let's say $9.49. That's more than a Hulu subscription. That's as much as all of Xbox Live per month. For that much, for $10 a month times 12 months, you can buy 3 houses and Tokyo Mirage Sessions.
For a second, I was like 3 houses.
Yeah. You could buy 3 houses in the middle of Arkansas, out by a
video
swamp.
games. Invest in
real estate, guys. Yeah. Let's flip some houses. Random house flip. That's our new podcast. But no, $120. You get 2 full Fire Emblem games, or well, one's a spinoff, but still 2 entire games. Or you can get 2 heroes, some art, and some in-game things. It's just so bizarre to me. Like, is there any game that you guys would pay $10 a month for just that little for because you are so obsessed? Like, would you do that for Hearthstone? Hearthstone gives you more value, right?
Yeah, but I mean, I wouldn't do any kind of monthly subscription for a specific game. I feel it would have to be kind of like the Nintendo on internet, or the Nintendo Switch Online, or
the Nintendo Internet,
or PlayStation Plus, or stuff like that.
Right.
The fact it's more expensive than PlayStation Plus in 1 year.
Actually, you know what's crazy? It is more expensive than Switch Online in 1 year by tenfold.
Well, that's the fact that it's more expensive than PlayStation Plus already, and PlayStation Plus gives you free full games that came out within a few years.
It just occurred to me.
It's nuts.
It just occurred to me. So it's $9.50 a month for Fire Emblem. It's another $5 for Mario Kart. It's $3 for Animal Crossing and $7 for Animal Crossing. If you do all that, you're paying $25 a month. Switch Online is $20 a year. These together are $25 a month. That is insane. You could buy a Switch by the end of all this.
That's more than getting how much is YouTube, Red?
Around
it's $12.
See, wow. And I'm sure that's a way better. I'd rather be paying for that than $10 for one game. That's stupid.
It goes back to the idea that they should do one Nintendo account pass for all their mobile games, but they'll never do it because they're apparently making bank. Clearly the other ones have worked enough to do it again.
Is this straight up
Nintendo.
Nintendo.
100%.
It's upsetting that.
Yeah, this is upsetting.
It is. It is. That's why I wanted to bring it. That's why I went on this tangent because I know we were talking about the cool stuff they're doing with their IP, loosening it up, but then simultaneously they're hey, on mobile we're expanding our IP too for $25 a month.
With the Nintendo brand anymore.
It's really not great. It's it
feels
like it's not. They're not consciously doing it.
It's kind of par for the course, where I guess
no,
they're
consciously doing it.
You didn't. I stopped because I think they're not consciously doing this, but it feels
they don't know what they're doing, guys.
no. What I'll say is they're not consciously doing it, but it feels puppets. Like they are kind of Iwata was so adamant about not doing nickel and diming, and it feels like they're just kind of not
seeing what they could get away with.
It just feels like they're not honoring that, which I get. He isn't part of Nintendo anymore, but it just feels like that was so much the
rest in peace, King.
Right, but it just feels like there's so much of Nintendo as a company being yeah, no nickel and diming, and now however many years later they're kind of just meh, it's okay now, he's gone. I don't know. It feels at least
it's like you're starting to see the company side of Nintendo more than before.
Yeah, which makes sense because they were led by a developer under Iwata, and they're being led by their head business guy now, or second in charge of business. Their numbers guy, literally their numbers guy.
Well,
Kimishima, who was before him, the in between president, he was also a business side guy, but he was an overall executive, not their mathematician. So yeah, it just kind of sucks though. It just feels really
scummy in a way.
Yeah, but I'm not it's so weird that I think collectively
it kept you up at night at least once, right?
I have tossed and turned. No, but it is so weird that we collectively
wake up in a cold sweat.
Just check my phone, be oh no, did I accidentally subscribe? But no, it is weird though because we're we're a Nintendo podcast. We're big Nintendo fans. We like what they do, but it's so strange to me that for the first time I've just like completely walled off a part of what Nintendo does because it's just so not. It's so like I just don't touch their mobile stuff anymore at all, and it's really weird because like Mario Kart Tour just won the AIAS award, which Academy of Interactive Arts and Science award for best racing game in 2019. Which I don't know about that, but like I'm not even giving it the chance because like all the monetization stuff is.
To be fair, there hasn't been a great racing game in forever.
That's true, but Crash Team Racing was winning in every other award show. But
did Crash Team Racing come out last year?
Yep.
I take what I just said back. I totally
it won at the Game Awards and all that. But like that one best racing game. I'm like, oh, I'd love to really like try it, but it feels like such a money grab with weird touch controls. I don't like that. I'm not gonna bother. And that's weird. I'm not used to that. I'm always used to giving Nintendo a chance. Anyway, that was a bit of a tangent. I just felt like since we were talking about that, it was worth bringing up. But the whole
Jesus Christ, that was a tangent.
That was a tangent. But no, the whole IP strategy thing. It did make me think that if you look past the money grabbing aspects of what they're doing on mobile. The way Nintendo's treating Wonderful 101, or even on a smaller scale, Daemon X Machina, like Marvelous brought that to Steam a couple weeks ago. It's pretty similar to the whole IP pitch. I mean, where I think it perhaps differs is in which IPs they're willing to implement the strategy on for mobile versus for these like console games. Because for mobile, they're all in with the core games. Like in that same financial briefing Q&A as the other stuff, they pretty bluntly said, and I quote, "Only Nintendo developers can use the character of Mario as we feel best, and we have closely guarded our rights so that we don't lose that freedom." So basically, like, yeah, no one's touching that. We're going to decide what happens with that. But it's interesting that if you look at like Nintendo historically, what they're doing with Wonderful 101, while perhaps going a bit further now because it's multi-platform, isn't actually all that different from some stuff they've done in the past. Case in point, does anyone remember Operation Rainfall in the Wii days?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nope.
Oh.
Yeah, Last Story.
See, he knows.
All right, there we go.
Yeah, so in the tail, you got one after. Would you like to try the other two?
Xenoblade.
Yep.
And the one about the Tower of Power.
Pandora's Tower. Yeah. So in the tail end of the Wii days, Nintendo had these 3 games in Japan. Xenoblade Chronicles, which was from Monolith Soft, so second-party game. Last Story from Mistwalker, that's the studio run by the guy behind Final Fantasy, so second-party game. And Pandora's Tower from this company called, I had to look this one up, Gambarian, also second party. And in all 3 cases, Nintendo owned the trademarks. They published them. And they were like, you know what, we're not going to release them in the States. That's that. But there's a groundswell of fan demand, and eventually they sort of split the difference. So Xenoblade became directly published by Nintendo, and of course went on to be a big series for them, in part because they stuck Shulk and Smash, so they kind of cheated. But The Last Story and Pandora's Tower were actually given to Exceed Games to publish. And in this case, they were still Wii-only releases. But I bet you if either of those games took off in the way Xenoblade did, we would have seen Nintendo start to double down on those investments. Much like what could happen with Wonderful 101. If the Kickstarter proved successful and there's enough groundswell, we could have gotten a Last Story 2, we could have gotten a Pandora's Tower 2, and I guarantee they would have been like, okay, Exceed, we'll take that back now, thank you. And what's kind of interesting is the more I thought about this, the more I'm realizing Nintendo should just do this all the time with their second parties. Like, there are so many dead IPs that they just kind of let wilt away that technically other developers made, but they're just like, no, we're just going to cling on to the rights. I mean, like, you know, Chibi Robo was made by Skip. Everything's Robo. Chibi Robo was made by Skip. Custom Robo was made by Noise. There's those European-only releases like Disaster Day of Crisis, which was by Monolith Soft. Yeah, the same people as Xenoblade. Going back to the GameCube, you got stuff like Doshin the Giant, which was by a company called Param. And, like, imagine if instead of letting them just die on the vine, so to speak, Nintendo actually let smaller publishers who had smaller sales expectations take a shot. Like, instead of Custom Robo's career having to go do this indie clone for Switch called, like, Synaptic Drive or something like that, maybe he could have just gotten the Custom Robo IP, found an audience with it, and then kept the brand afloat for Nintendo on a smaller scale, and maybe gotten a groundswell, and they could have brought it back as an official game at some point. Like, I feel like I'm forgetting some games that fit this bill, but there's a lot of second-party games or games that Nintendo just slapped their name on and published that I feel like kind of just died, and this could have saved them. I mean, are there any? Am I forgetting any? There's a bunch of second-party ones, right?
Off the top of my head,
like, are there any that you really liked that I'm not thinking of? Like Fatal Frame, that's another one. That was Tecmo Koei, but Nintendo had the.
It's one of those games that I know was popular, but I mean, I never really got around to playing it, so I can't really say if it was like, oh man, I wish they had helped out.
Piano 3. I'd be okay with Piano 3 coming back. No. The Capcom 5, the legendary Capcom 5, which I think only became
4.
Yeah. Which was the one that never came out? Phoenix? Dark Phoenix? No, that's an X-Men movie. Is something Phoenix Rising? Phoenix Rise?
I'm sure it was like something Phoenix.
It did give us Beautiful Joe, Resident Evil 4, Piano 3, and...
I mean, I don't know if it's related or if it's more Capcom or Nintendo, but like, I would have liked it if at some point they had released a second Ace Attorney Investigations, even if it's just digitally, like they did with Ace Attorney 5 and 6.
Right.
Or the other great Ace Attorney games where they're prequels, but we never got either of those.
See, yeah, that I think that's more in Capcom's wheelhouse, but it's the same deal of like, what were you gonna say?
Killer 7.
Killer 7.
All these Capcom?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I didn't know my question would be a Capcom. But
Dead Phoenix is the one that never came out.
Huh? You mean the one that's dead? Never.
Yeah, that died before.
They died. It never rose.
Not yet.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just like if Nintendo is considering okay, well, you guys named a bunch of Capcom games, but if it was Nintendo games, they considered them dead brands. Just let them get Wonderful 101. It doesn't hurt anyone. The small fan bases will be happy. Developers can see through their vision. And, maybe you'll make a little money along the way or make a brand that gets bigger. It just seems like such a wasted opportunity. I mean, frankly, I'd even be cool with Nintendo doing this with Brain Age at this point because that still isn't announced in North America. Like, I know that's a real first-party game, so it kind of flies against everything I was just saying. But, like, where is it? Europe and Japan already got it for 2 months, and yet Nintendo's calendar with their financials that say, here's what's coming to North America, nowhere to be found. Completely missing. Meanwhile, in like Europe and Japan, the game just got their version of Tetris 99's Maximus Cups. It's actually something kind of cool. It's called the Brain Training World Championship, which is not worldwide because it's not in America, so that's a lie. But basically, it's like these weekly challenges of different brain training. You have like leaderboards and stuff, and you kind of work your way up and you win stuff, and like that would be cool. It's actually I think it's a really neat way to kind of augment the keep people engaged beyond the daily brain age test, which you might get tired after a while, but they have new challenges with new things, and there's actually a competitive angle. I think for the first time in a brain age, that would be cool, but who knows? We're never going to see it. It's weird how Nintendo kind of picks and chooses their IPs and what to do. Like in the case of, I guess to be fair, in the case of Brain Age, it might be a matter of NOA wanting or like the right demographic here in the US. Like the North American Switch owner audience may need to catch up with the demographic they think makes sense. Because one point that was also in the financial Q&A is that software like Ring Fit Adventure is reaching more female consumers than other titles, and the Switch Lite as a whole seems to be more popular with women than the regular Switch. And something like Brain Age, it feels like that slots into that sort of demographic better than just all the gamers. So the two complement each other well, and like Ring Fit isn't quite crazy Japanese sales levels here yet, although it's getting there, so they might just be weighing it out. But again, it is getting there here in the States. January's MPD charts were released on Friday, and well, that's the day we're recording this, but by the time you hear it, Friday will be past tense. And there's a lot of usual suspects on there. Switch is the top selling hardware, Smash is number 7 on the overall top 10, Mario Kart's number 8. But it was surprising. One surprise on the chart was to see that Ring Fit Adventure creep back in at number 9, which is the highest chart position it's ever had. And that was, 3 months after launch? Something like that. So obviously, November, December, now January. And obviously, like, New Year's resolutions to exercise and whatnot probably help. But still, like, Ring Fit's back on the chart. Like, they're getting to that demographic. So maybe Brain Age will show up at some point. Yeah, not like it ever really left, but it has legs.
Ring Fit's still here.
It has, it has legs. But you know the other surprise on the January chart?
And it knows how to use them.
It sure does. And to your tweet, arms and every other body part. But there's another weird thing on the January chart. It's not really Nintendo related, but Dragon Ball Z Kakarot was the number 1 selling game in January in the United States.
Wow. I'm surprised actually.
Yeah, I knew
DBZ
was having a renaissance, but I didn't think it was like that big of a renaissance. Like what happened that's suddenly coming back in such a strong way? I mean, I know Broly was riding that wave, but like what is there? Do you guys know?
Maybe that game really did make a resurgence.
Is it just 90s nostalgia in the same way that Pokemon had a rise with Go and then just stayed there for nostalgia purposes?
Super definitely helped out within the recent.
Yeah, especially because like
and Broly was
GT,
really good too.
Like the season before this one was GT, right? Because I know that one like didn't sit well with a lot of fans.
Yeah, but GT was like back in 2000.
But it didn't really have anything since then, right? Like Super was.
What do you mean, like series wise? I mean, they had a couple of movies that lasted into I think like 2013.
I think series wise, because I know like they had the that movie with Beerus that came out. Was Super already going on?
No, that was what led to that movie. What was Battle of Gods, and then about like 2 years, Resurrection F came out. Then they announced Super, and then they said that the first 2 arcs were pretty much going to cover the movies.
Because I feel like, even though like I know like the trailers and like the movies were getting like some hype, like just like general hype that I heard about, like even when not really following those communities.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until like Super came out that I started really hearing about Dragon Ball a lot, and then all of a sudden, that Broly movie was like everyone, like even people that didn't even know watch Dragon Ball were like, "Oh my god, this movie was."
Yeah, it felt like it all came out of nowhere.
Yeah, and it also helped that Fighters was like a legitimately really good fighting game. That right. I mean, it pretty much like gave everyone a versus game that they've been really wanting since Capcom gave them Infinite.
Yeah.
So a lot of things just really worked in. Like, I mean, it's back in EVO this year, which is crazy, considering, you know, like, Mortal Kombat 11 isn't there for some reason. Maybe they're doing their own event.
Wait, what game?
Yeah.
Mortal Kombat 11?
Yeah, let's talk about that, actually.
Fighters?
What is going on?
Fighters has been.
Fighters is in EVO, but Mortal Kombat 11 isn't. Why is that? Huh? How did Mortal Kombat 11 not make the cut for EVO?
I'm pretty sure NetherRealms might be just doing their own event, probably. They're probably, like... Funny, because like Capcom does do their own event besides EVO. Like, they have the Capcom Cup. But maybe NetherRealms is trying to do their own, like, Mortal Kombat circuit or something.
But still, that's kind of surprising.
It is.
Because it's like... I mean, the list of games for EVO, like... there's some on there that make obvious sense, and there's some that I didn't expect to see. But,
actually, I was going to say, like, there's, like, half of them on there were, like, I don't even know, like, what these are.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. But some of them make sense. Like, obviously, Smash is on there, and that's the number one...
Smash, Tekken,
number one most
Street
registered
Fighter.
game is Smash right now.
Which is always is.
Yeah.
These are all Japanese developed, too.
Yeah, and then it's Tekken 7, Street Fighter 5 Champion Edition, Dragon Ball Z Fighter, or Dragon Ball Fighter Z, Samurai Showdown, Grand Blue, Fantasy Versus, Soul Calibur 6, and then one I've never heard of, Under Night, In Birth, EXE, late...
Bracket.
CLR-R?
And bracket.
Yeah. Thank you for the grammar. But yeah, that's like an eclectic mix, shall we say. But it's so weird that Mortal Kombat's not on it.
Yeah, but I don't know. It's weird, but at the same time, I'm just kind of surprised that Marvel vs. Capcom 2 is there. I think that's like definitely a really big deal. Just because, like, I don't know. I mean, it's like an anniversary is coming up. I don't think it means that they're going to announce something. But
I didn't even say that one, did I? I somehow missed that one.
But that's like
that's not on the list on the link.
Yeah, I don't think it's on the main.
It's in the main picture, but the one that.
But that's like, but that's like the one that was like, you know, that was the big head turner because it's like, whoa, it's like a really old game.
Yeah.
Which I think is really cool. Like, I hope they bring back like these old legacy games that, you know, like were the ones that, like, you know, apparently I just like help bring up EVO. But
they're gonna take us for a ride, baby.
But apparently, like, it's not gonna be like a traditional tournament. Like, it's gonna be an 8-man invitational. So like 4 people are gonna be returning EVO champions of that game, and the other 4 are gonna be, and the other 4 spots are up for grabs at other special events, which is really cool. That means like the 8 matches that we will see at EVO, or however many there are, like, are just gonna be like the highest level play of that game, which is gonna be crazy.
Do you think that Capcom is going to use this as a way to reintroduce Marvel vs. Capcom 2 and re-release it and bring it to Switch, among other systems?
That'd be cool. I hope they re-release that one and Marvel vs. Capcom 3 at the very least.
I suspect they will wait a year and do the same thing with 3 at next EVO if this proves successful, and then
which would finally allow me to play as Phoenix Wright.
Oh yeah, but that's
I don't know about Marvel vs. Capcom 3 because it did recently get
it got an
re-release.
HD,
yeah. So
at that point they might just bring it to Switch.
I think Marvel vs. Capcom 3. No, I think that Marvel vs. Capcom 3 is done for as far as being ported.
I can't believe it got a PSP port and not
a Switch.
Well, I mean,
would you be cool? But would you be cool with 2 on Switch?
Vita.
Yeah,
you're right.
Vita means life. Would you be cool with 2 on Switch? I mean, or are you more interested?
It'd be more like, that's cool, but I wouldn't care.
You wouldn't buy it?
No. I feel like that was the
one.
No, but I feel like that was the general sentiment when 2 got re-released on the PS3.
I mean,
everyone just sort of shrugged at it.
Everybody was like, "Oh, cool," and that was it.
And didn't know about it.
Well, because everyone that cared about it still had it in some fashion. Like, they played on their Dreamcast or whatever. I mean, I got it just because it was a game that a lot of people talked about, and I mean, it was fun enough. I mean, I liked playing as Jill, but a lot of the other characters I didn't really care about. And Marvel Capcom 3 was when it was like, oh, well, you could play as Amy from Okami, you could play as Phoenix Wright, you could play as Nemesis, and all these other cool characters. So, yeah.
Interesting.
That's the one I would care about.
Right.
Marvel Capcom 2, no, and then
but
Infinite took away the characters that were fun. So
it should at least make for good Evo content.
Oh, 2 will definitely make for very good Evo content.
Yeah.
3 would also make for at least good. I mean, at least for one tournament. I wouldn't want them to bring that game back because then it's just going to be projectile hells and all the finals, which isn't that exciting to see. But yeah, Evo will be
also kind of suck that Mortal Kombat is down there because that's one less game on the Switch that's represented.
Yeah, it's kind of because if you look at the list, there aren't very many. Like, I mean, somehow the 3DS had Street Fighter.
They've got a third.
Yeah, they have. Do they? Oh yeah, Samurai Showdown, Granblue,
Fighters. No,
Granblue?
Smash Fighters, and Samurai Showdown. I'm pretty sure
Granblue was. Oh, that's BlazBlue.
BlazBlue, yeah. Wait, BlazBlue isn't on the Switch either.
Yes, it is.
There's a BlazBlue Tag Battle's on
there's
Switch.
BlazBlue on Switch.
There's a BlazBlue cross with something else that's on Switch.
BlazBlue Switch is Cross Tag Battle.
Oh, okay.
And Granblue is not on the Switch.
Both developed by Arc System Works.
This is true.
Also, doing well. They're still working on fighters. There's another Goku in the game.
The thing is also at least like Smash Brothers feels like big enough that it almost kind of feels like it offsets the other ones. Just because it's Smash Brothers, like kind of like how the consensus is now like it's starting to feel like less of a fighting game and more of like this just video game. The game. It is. I mean, it is video games the game, but it's still a fighting game. That's a weird. Are people saying that? Yeah, like I mean, I don't know. Maybe not competitive people, but I just feel like it just seemed more like people are getting excited for someone to get in the game, but then it's not like they really play the game.
There hasn't really been much of a. I mean, it's still doing well. They still do the quarterly online opens that then send people various tournaments. Genesis 7 just happened. It was one of the big games there. I think it still has some attention, but I get what you're saying that the hype of who will be in the game does currently overshadow the competitive scene. But I imagine as the DLC winds down, that will flip.
So I guess after next year or
maybe.
whatever.
Or even, but I mean, think about the audience difference because I'm
not saying that's a bad thing though. I mean,
I know,
more eyes on the game is always fine.
But I'm just saying, like, think about the audience difference in the sense of like lots of gamers in a general sense are like, oh, who's the new character? Like, take me for example. Oh, who's the new character in Smash? I'm very interested in that. Do I watch every competitive thing of Smash? No, not at all. I'll watch Evo, and I see the Nintendo ones that we go to in person around E3. That's it.
Oh no, like, no. They're not talking about like whether you're gonna like follow competitively. Just like you're probably excited about to see what character was gonna get announced. You saw that it was Fire Emblem person, and then you played maybe the game once just to see how they played, and then that's pretty much you're done with the game.
Who, by the way, Sakurai even was doing damage control on Byleth. He has a column in Famitsu.
Oh yeah.
And he was basically like, listen, Nintendo picks it. I know there's a lot of swordsmen. I know there's a lot of Fire Emblem characters, but Nintendo picks it, and then I work with that. But he was on the defense there a little. But yeah, no, to your point, there are a lot of people that are just like, oh yeah, new character, okay, done. Versus like getting into the deeper strategies. But that was true with all the Smashes. Like think about how we played Smash in college, Melee and Brawl, and it was all just like
no, yeah, I was thinking that's a good thing. Just
yeah. So just observing.
That it's just transcended as a game where people like literally get into it just because a character got announced, and that's pretty much
it. It's very unique in that regard. Yeah, I think Marvel vs. Capcom is probably the closest to that because it's like, oh my god, Dr. Doom or whoever, but. It did.
I feel like it's like the other way around, where it's like,
I'm just picking a random.
Who's that guy?
True. Especially on the Capcom side, but on the Marvel side, Wolverine and all that.
No, well, that's the thing. Like that, it's like literally the opposite of what you said. Because when Marvel vs. Capcom 3 first came out,
not when I was a kid in the arcade.
This was before the MCU was out.
Right.
So like when Rocket Raccoon was announced, it was like, wait, who's this dude?
Well, that's why I picked Doctor Doom and Wolverine and not Rocket Raccoon.
Did you say? Oh, well.
I get your point.
I feel like
I get your point.
Yeah, there was definitely more hype around like, the fact that we got like, I don't know, who was the new, like Okami in the game.
Well, see, that's what's interesting about both Smash Bros. and Marvel. What?
He called.
Oh yeah, I know, and I did it correctly earlier in the episode.
No, but that's what's so cool. I think about these crossover games is like different audiences can all resonate in a different way. Like to your point about the Smash characters, but like the people I was with like in summer camp when we were playing in an arcade machine that they had at wherever the summer camp was, YMCA or whatever. Everyone freaked out about the Marvel characters, and no one really knew the Capcom characters. But you had a situation where everyone knew the Capcom characters, but didn't really like the Marvel, or didn't know the details of like Rocket Raccoon and all that. So so that's kind of the beauty of these sorts of games. Is it's a two-way street.
Yeah. To be fair though, there was a lot of Capcom characters I didn't even know in MBC2. Like I was like, where did they pull this person from? There was like pirate lady, some watermelon dude, some monkey that has like a giant staff that grows really big.
That sounds inappropriate. Keep going.
Let's see, Captain Commando. I didn't really know who that was until after the game came out. I had to look him up.
I am ashamed to admit that when I first saw Smash Bros.
There were 2 Wolverines in that game. One was literally Bone Claw Wolverine and Adamantium Claw Wolverine.
Yeah. I'm ashamed to admit on that note, when I first saw the very first Smash Bros. Screenshots and stuff in Nintendo Power, wasn't entirely sure who Samus was. Because I just never had exposure to Metroid as a kid, for one reason or another. I then got very into Metroid and had Prime and Prime 2 and Fusion and all that, but like I was like, who's this orange dude? And then I learned it was not a dude. And then I learned its name was Samus. Her name was Samus.
Yeah, I remember a lot of the talk around like the elementary school was like, oh man, look at this character. You press pause, it's like a female figure when she gets electrified.
Yeah, but it, like I haven't really revealed that before. That I didn't know what Metroid was until Smash Bros. Came out.
For shame.
I know, I was 10 when I learned what Metroid was.
Make me sick.
1999. Anyway, my confessions aside, and all that aside, what I was getting at with Ring Fit and Brain Age and all that, basically verbatim what I said before, but just to kind of bring it back in, is it's interesting how Nintendo picks and chooses which IPs they care about. And perhaps the best example of that is also example number 2 of how scrambled and weird the news has been lately, and that is the next wave of NES and Super Nintendo games coming to Switch Online subscribers on Wednesday.
Oh man, these are big. I feel it.
February 19th.
Give me the titles of these games.
All right, you ready? Here we go.
DK 1,
First up,
2,
right?
And
Donkey Kong Country's in there, right?
No. All right, you guys ready?
No.
You guys ready? And I will give you descriptors if you don't recognize these names, but they're so big, I'm sure you'll know them.
Of course.
First up, Poppin' Twinbee.
A jam.
Second one, Smash Tennis.
Dude, Smash Bros. Tennis.
I didn't know that they made a spin-off of Super Smash.
Number 3, Shadow. Okay, those are the Super Nintendo games. Now we're on to the NES games, which is creme de la creme. These are the when you think NES, you have that image in your head of what these games are, right? Shadow of the Ninja.
Yep, crystallizing in my head right now. Yep.
How about this one? Anyone remember this gem? Eliminator Boat Duel.
Who can forget?
Dude,
so
people line up around the corner.
So yeah, because I mean, how often do you get to duel in boats and eliminate one another? You should probably mute your computer as all these alerts come in on your multiple devices that you're supposed to mute before we start recording.
It's funny, they were muted, but I unmuted them.
Why would you do that to yourself? Wow, you really live life on the edge.
Yeah.
Some people do drugs. Some people skydive. He just unmutes his devices halfway through a podcast. But those are the 4 big games. Like I said, Nintendo's weird about picking IP. So let's actually explain what these are, because I don't think anyone knows what they are.
Eliminator Bolt, though, to be fair,
looks actually pretty legit.
Yeah, it actually looks like a fun game.
Looks fun.
I would play that game. I will play that game because I guess
it's part of the subscription.
Yeah, it's part of.
But no, that one actually is cool.
That's
our
next time, or Jason licks 3 cartridges at once.
Wait, what's next time? Where I lick 3 cartridges?
Eliminator Bolt Duel Challenge, and if you lose...
Oh, no, not about skill, just if we...
Hey, I've never played this game before.
Will you lick a cartridge again if I win?
Sure.
Let's shake on it.
We'll make it
Kevin, you're a witness?
Yeah, we'll do it with Kevin as a witness.
Done. Kevin, do you want in on this? Do we want a 3-way cartridge lick?
Nope.
No.
Oh, come on.
You don't want a 3-way cartridge lick?
I am good. I've already done that on my own time. And that was enough for me to be like, this is a bad idea.
We've only done it on the podcast. I have a lot of questions about why you on your own time did it, but we could save that for later.
Curiosity, man.
I guess. But anyway, so Eliminator Boat Duel
he didn't even hear about the...
Oh, he
didn't. He just didn't
know.
I wonder.
But
man, they look delectable.
They do look like little wheat thins that are a different color. But so Eliminator Boat Duel is probably the most interesting of the bunch. It's kind of like a mix of... It looks like a mix of like Outrun and F-Zero, and that it's kind of a behind the back or behind the boat angle where you're racing into the screen. Graphically, it looks more advanced. It's like from the NES, but it looks like it could be early like Super Nintendo or Genesis or something. So that's kind of cool. And it has a boat upgrade system. So you're not just racing, you're also improving as you go. But yeah, that's probably the most interesting. The other one, Shadow of the Ninja. This was Natsume's crack at Ninja Gaiden. And it was so similar to Ninja Gaiden that when it was released here in the States as a Game Boy port later on, it literally was called Ninja Gaiden. It had the subtitle of Shadow, but they turned fake Ninja Gaiden into actual Ninja Gaiden, which is very strange. Then Smash Tennis is a tennis game for the Super Nintendo by Namco. So there's that. And then Poppin' Twinbee. This is the 6th entry in Konami's kind of like cutesy top-down shump shooter games. I had no idea it had more than 2 entries. Apparently it has 6. What's interesting here, actually, is, to be fair, Nintendo, Smash Tennis and Poppin' Twinbee have full English translations because they were released in Europe, but apparently never made it stateside before. So these are actually debuts of new quote-unquote games for us Switch Online owners, which is kind of cool. Like, from a gaming history perspective, I do appreciate the fact Nintendo's trying to give us some truly new stuff instead of re-release number 7 of a game we already have access to. Like, Angel, to your point about, like, no one bought, and to your point too, Kevin, about how no one bought, like, Marvel's Capcom 3 because they already had it on other systems. Like, it is kind of nice that Nintendo's not just doing that and tripling down and actually giving us something new. I also do appreciate that they're focusing on multiplayer on a system that's made for multiplayer. Like, you know, Eliminator Boat Duel, I don't know why it exists, but it's cool that, like, there's 3 out of the 4 games, or 2 out of the 4 games, so half the games are multiplayer centric, which is kind of nice. However, what are these games? Like, why? These aren't the games people expected. It's not what people ask for. And when they release them so, like, infrequently without a counterbalance of what people want, it's not really a good look for the service. Like, I imagine, Angel, you saw this list and no Donkey Kong, and this room was probably torn apart, wasn't it?
No. I mean, it's literally whatever. I mean, they'll release it when they release it, if they ever do. I mean, they're not obligated to. I have ways to play it. It just is what it is. So
you're interested in Eliminator Boat Duel. Anything else catch your eye?
Unfortunately, no. Like, Twinbee looks like something I'll try once and just be like, okay. And
yeah,
I'll probably play. I'm actually more interested in playing Smash Tennis with my friend Nigel in Texas, just because. Actually, any game that just has that just has multiplayer
is now online.
Will be an automatic. Yeah, will be an automatic. You know.
Right. What about you, Kevin? Anything jump out? No, not at all. See, Nintendo needs to get your attention. What I actually find the most like ironic here is, like, from the IP perspective, this is exactly the thing I was saying I wanted them to do with their second party games. Like, find ways to release these tiny games and see if they find an audience. Like, I don't expect Eliminator Boat Duel to suddenly become a smash hit because it's in the Super Nintendo Switch Online library and then, like, get a sequel. But, you know, it's cool they're doing this. And Miyamoto was saying in that investor briefing Q&A that this is actually kind of weird. He decided to cave and let them make video content around Mario, as in make a Mario movie and not just Mario games, because he saw the success of Mario on the Virtual Console. He was basically saying that as they keep moving legacy content forward, he saw opportunities in which the same character can be used in different ways. Like, if it's not just a flashy new release, it could be an old release for nostalgia, like on the Wii Shop channel back on the Wii. Or it could be a movie, or it could be like that idea that you know, there's life in these old things, there's life in different approaches than just here's the hot new release starring Mario. So to me, at least, the fact that Nintendo's offering a channel for these kind of lesser games to get out there, even in the face of their own best interest, in which they should just keep pumping out Marios and Donkey Kong Countries and whatever. Yeah, it's the right mindset, but maybe they need to augment it with some big games too.
It's been a while. I mean, honestly, I don't know. If I were to get a Switch, if I didn't have a Switch right now, I don't know.
You do get like 55, 60 games.
Yeah, but I mean, like, if me personally, for some reason decided to wait on the Switch,
yeah,
like, I would still look at that list of those 50, 60 games and be like, oh, there's like nothing for me there.
Right. I mean, because there's no Donkey Kong.
No, even then, because like, oh, most of those games I've already had on another console at some point. I mean, I love
the logic of I need Donkey Kong on this system, but all the other games I own on other systems, I don't need them on this system.
No, even then, like,
yeah,
like, even if Donkey Kong was there, I wouldn't buy it just for that.
Right, that makes sense.
Like, I don't know, it just sucks being, I guess, a committed Nintendo fan for this long, because the drip, yeah, and because it's always repeating itself, and because it's always a drip feed, it just makes it less and less exciting and maybe more frustrating.
Yeah,
but I mean, but by now, like, I feel like it was like peak frustration when it was like around the Wii U days, because like the Wii took its time, but it was also the first time we were getting this, so it was still kind of like, oh, what's coming this week? Then when they did it again on the Wii, it was like, really? And then the 3DS is like, oh, you're starting over again here, and you're even re-releasing stuff. Like, what the heck are you doing?
Yeah.
And then by the time the Switch came around, it was already jaded. Especially, no, there was a sliver of hope when they announced like, oh, the NES app, how many are they gonna release at once? Are they
20.
Like, oh, it was 20. I'm like, all right. And then are they gonna do this often? And they kind of were, but then they just went back to normal, and then it's just like, like I don't care anymore.
I think basically what Nintendo needs
they
to
could
do...
I don't even know.
Here's what I want Nintendo
They could have like 40 games back then, and maybe even Donkey Kong, and I probably wouldn't even care anymore. It's just...
Yeah, because you played them all. Or a lot of them. I think what Nintendo needs to do is the Switch Online game strategy for their second-party releases and their main game release strategy for their Switch Online releases. In other words, they need to run in tandem, and they need big games with little games and little games with big games, and they can't just be like, oh, only the little games on one service and only the big games in the retail channel. And if they find that right balance, everybody wins, and it's great, and everyone's happy, and you won't get frustrated, and I won't be like, oh, how these little games live on, and everyone is playing what they want to play. Will that ever happen? Of course not. I want everyone to win, but of course they won't win. And you know where else people aren't winning? Get ready for this transition. You know where else folks aren't winning? E3 2020. What a mess that has become. And again, it's one of those things that just feels like so wrong in the news cycle this episode, because like it's been such a big consistent force in gaming for so many years, and now it's just kind of like not, I guess. So like it all started with Sony pulling out of the show again. And that was a few months ago. We didn't really cover it at the time. And now, what were you going to say? Wait, what did you say? What did you say?
I didn't say anything.
What did you say? Did you say psych?
No, he literally did not say anything.
No, he said something.
He literally did not, I swear.
Okay, well,
you can listen back.
Yeah,
a minute and 6.
All right, well, anyway.
Or like a minute and 5.
Yeah, well, anyway, so Sony pulled out first. And, I see where you guys are going with this. And now, guys, we're a family-friendly podcast. Anyway, so Sony left the convention first, and now Jeff Keighley, who's been there... God. Oh, man, we need like a reset. But no, now Jeff Keighley, who's been in the show every year since it started either as a attendee or eventually as a producer of the Coliseum panel series, has also left the convention. And it's sad because, like... Well, one... I liked the Coliseum that he did. Like, some of it felt a little too marketing heavy. Like, it was like the marketing guy interviewing the game developer from the same company or something. But, like, some of them are really cool. Like, there's one with Will Wright where he's talking about how, like, AI is going to change the world. And it was actually really interesting and also kind of creepy because he was like, yeah, you, like, do these surveys. And then our games will, like, cater themselves to how you think and how
Bless
you...
Gesundheit. Bless you.
Gesundheit. But, yeah.
I think I'm done.
But anyway, and he was like
can
talking
only
about
bless you so much.
He was talking about like
it's always 4 to 5.
It is always 4 to 5. You're right. I guess you would know it is your sneeze, but sneezes. But yeah, he was talking about like all this crazy AI stuff and how like games will be personalized experiences based off what they learn about you through random surveys and what you do on your phone, which is creepy. But like it's crazy to be able to sit there and watch Will Wright talk about that.
Which one is Will Wright?
SimCity and The Sims.
Oh, I was thinking Peter Molyneux.
Oh, no, Molyneux. I'd be like, okay, sure. And how's Milo
That
doing?
sounds like something that Peter Molyneux would say.
Will Wright like has a whole new startup where he's like building this tech. It's really kind of crazy. I think it got delayed. It's supposed to be out last year. But, the Coliseum had that. It had like Elon Musk, which was an experience. It was
Elon Musk and
Todd Howard. Yeah, together. And then it had had some really and just some kind of fun ones. Like they had Grant Kirkhope, who does the music for Banjo-Kazooie and Donkey Kong and now Ukulele, and he was on stage talking about Mario and Rabbids, and then like had a kazoo and just started like doing the tunes he composed and stuff, and like all that stuff. Coliseum's cool for that. So it kind of in a way sucks that Keighley's not producing that anymore because he made that happen. He says he's not doing it due to actually I'll just read what he told Game Industry Up is. Given what has been publicly communicated about plans for E3 2020, I just don't feel comfortable participating in the show at this time. Someone on Twitter asked him to elaborate, and he's like, what does he not feel comfortable about? And he said, a ton of factors. I just don't really feel comfortable participating given what I know about the show as of today. Like, there's a ton of reasons behind why he decided. So, something's up. It's a bummer.
I wonder what it is.
I don't know. But it's a bummer because... like, at least for me, and I'm curious what your guys' experiences were with E3, like, growing up, but at least for me, E3 was, like, I had this weird affinity, like, personal affinity for it, where, like, especially because I was living in Montana, so I was so far removed from the game industry to just have this goal of, like, there's this video game mecca in LA 3 days a year where everyone's there, everyone in gaming's there, you're getting all the cool stuff, you're seeing all the big glitzy booths, like, everything you could care about video games is in this one spot for 3 days, and I just I really wanted to go. Like, I was so it was such a cool thing. I want to go to there. I read every I subscribed to GamePro, EGM, and Nintendo Power. Read every preview. I remember one of the first E3s when I learned, oh, this is what E3 is. I just sat there and read the entire Nintendo Power cover to cover in one sitting because I was just so like, oh my god. I used to watch, like, before G4 was a thing, they were Tech TV, and I would watch every bit of coverage they would do, all the specials. Like, I'm talking every minute. When Spike started doing it, I'd watch the press conferences on TV. I remember distinctly, like, where I was when, like, Breath of the Wild, or not Breath of the Wild, where Twilight Princess, the 2004 reveal of Zelda, you know, where people cried, where they ended the My Name is Reggie, I'm About Kicking Ass press conference, that one. I distinctly remember, like, oh, I'm in this math class, how do I get out of math class and watch this, and then walking in the computer lab and having my mind blown by that. Like, there's so many things that's just like, oh, E3 is this destination, it's this, like, this gaming Christmas, and it's weird. I mean, I guess the industry just changes, but it's weird that whatever it is, it's not that anymore. There is not a single soul gaming, like, HQ where everyone comes together in, like, a Super Bowl sort of way.
Debatable. Gamescom is still,
but that one doesn't have like the news cycle of this one. Everything's more diversified.
Yeah.
I mean, just the fact that not even like everyone's there, but just the fact that like here's Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo all within 24 hours of each other, basically doing a press. Like everyone's literally like, all right, this is our moment. We're all in this together. Go, go, go. Like that is, and it's not dead yet, but it's going down the road where it's not going to be that anymore. It's already been going down that road, and it's just weird.
Which is weird because E3 was initially designed to get the attention of the retailers.
Yeah.
And the plan that they're going with of now like using influencers to
let's actually talk about that. So and then I guess I can ask you guys what E3 meant to you guys, but so E3 now from a Nintendo fans perspective actually isn't much different. It seems like it's going to be the same. Nintendo's already reconfirmed they'll be there about a month or so ago. Specifically, Doug Bowser of NOA said, "Yup, we're there." And the exhibitor list, you know, Xbox is there, third parties are there like Ubisoft, Take-Two, Sega, Capcom, Bethesda, Bandai Namco, Square Enix, WB. So they're all there. But yes, to your point, Kevin, it sounds like the show is morphing into something else. There's this leaked slide deck, internal slide deck for the ESA. They're the organization that lobbies for video games here in the States and puts on E3. And they're calling it now more of a fan festival, celebrating games and a proper game industry convention. And the plan is to lean heavily on like attractions and experiences and less so on just like the companies being there to sell their wares or peddle their wares or get media attention or get retailers to buy in, because that's all done off-site anyway these days. So what they're doing, like they're going to turn West Hall, which is the hall that Nintendo has been in as long as they've been going to E3. West Hall was interesting because West Hall, originally how they divided E3, I'm getting real deep on this, but originally how they divided E3 was West Hall was all the first-party companies, and then South Hall, which is the bigger hall, had all the third parties. So you go basically to the hardware makers and then to the software makers. And then slowly, like, Microsoft jumped to the third-party hall because they wanted to show how strong their third-party relationship was. So it was just the Nintendo-Sony hall for a while. But Nintendo has always been in West Hall. And what they're thinking of doing now, according to this, is they're going to create what they call experience hubs. And there will be 8 of these. And it sounds like they're going to be stages that will both have shows for people to go watch and give people something to do while they're standing in line at booths. So they could watch it while online, or they could go up and watch it up close. And on some level, that actually isn't a bad idea. They're calling it Q-tainment line, like standing in queue. And you know, standing in queue and watching some sort of entertainment. So that doesn't sound that horrible. It, as they put in their pitch deck, it enables marketing to attendees in line. So there's a business side to it. But the thing that I'm kind of like, oh, I don't know, is what the shows are going to be. So apparently, a big part of the rework is that they're going to be inviting celebrities and influencers to, which is what you were saying, Kevin, to kind of host these. And the example they gave was, what if, guys, the Los Angeles Lakers were sitting on one of those stages playing a basketball game, not in real life, in NBA 2K? Wouldn't that be fun to watch? It's like, I mean, sure, there's some celebrity appeal of that, absolutely. But, like, the focus isn't so much going to be on the games. It's going to be on, like, what famous person can they get to play the game. And, of course, that's going to mean YouTubers. And, of course, that's going to mean Twitch streamers. And it's just going to shift from being an industry event to, like, like a VidCon for video game celebrities, I feel like. And that's a little concerning.
So what I'm most curious about this is exactly assuming they do go this route, is the quality of it. Because when was it? I think it was like 4 E3s ago.
E for all?
No, not E for all. They put out that terrible E3 Live across the street.
3 years ago or 2 years
ago. 3 years ago.
Yeah. The only cool thing,
and this sounds like that, just on a bigger scale.
Yeah, so the interesting thing about E3 Live, so for those who need the history lesson out there, essentially they had E3, which was industry only, and then across the street from the convention center is LA Live. Like if people don't know LA Live, it's where they do the red carpet for the Grammys and stuff. And most recently, if you've seen any photos or videos of the Kobe memorials in LA, that's the spot. And they took that over, put up some tents, and had weird like content. The one kind of cool thing, although it was super absurd and actually isn't cool in terms of like that's not why you're there, is Doritos. I don't know if you remember this. They took over the street in between the Staples Center and Chickern Street, and made a crazy Dorito installation, and then had a 2.5-story tall arcade machine. And then
was that
every
the same
night,
year?
It might have been the second.
It was
No, it was the first or second year of it because they tried it for 2 years.
Okay,
but this was before they opened badges up properly to the public.
Right.
But they built this 2.5-story arcade, and that arcade machine also was a stage, and they had live music every night. They had Steve Aoki, they had Empire of the Sun, they had like actual big names, and excluding the fact that it has nothing to do with video games, it was really weird and why Doritos. It was kind of cool, and it was like I got to get into the Steve Aoki one, and like they gave us free Doritos, like endless bags, and Pepsi because PepsiCo.
What did
but it wasn't
Jeff
really
tweet out? He was like the Vatican is being built or something like that.
Oh yeah. Dorito Pope tweeted out how the Vatican is being built. Yeah, but yeah, so like something like that sounds like it could be what this becomes. Which I don't know if I want the show floor replaced with that. That was cool because it augmented it. It was separate. It was a branded activation, if you want to use the marketing term. But it was cool, like because it was not replacing it was enhancing.
That second year. Was cool. That first
year was a mess. Yeah.
Oh, jeez. I still have
it's weird because they're like, what was so? I actually never went to it because I was inside for one day on someone else's name on my badge.
Like from what I remember, I got there really early.
Yeah.
There was like an Oculus tent. It was mainly, the developer I remember seeing the most there was Traverse Tales.
That's super random. So is it just Lego games everywhere?
So it was like, I think it was Warner Brothers, honestly, that was there, that had the biggest presence there.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
And like, I remember looking at this, and I was the first one in line, and like within 5 minutes, I was like, nope, I'm going home. And I think that was the same day that you told me, like, hey, you want to come to E3? I think that was the same day.
Yeah, because I had ways to get you in.
Yeah, it didn't turn out too terrible, but...
Yeah. The one like upside of this new system is part of the pitch in the deck was to create a fast pass like system like Disneyland uses, so you can actually schedule appointments across any booth, and then you're free to walk around and watch the shows and go check things out.
Well,
Nintendo does that already with the Warp Pipe Pass.
Yeah, and then
the whole convention,
and then
and Sony does it.
Sony did it too. Yeah, that's how I.
It's gonna become which were great like. Because I wouldn't stand in line for it at PlayStation because that's not my cup of tea, but I definitely appreciated that I was able to go try Tetris Effect without any real hassle.
Yeah.
So if they do stuff like that, maybe. But the weirdest part of this is, so that deck I just described, we'll link to it in the blog post for anyone who wants to see it from last fall. They haven't confirmed anything from it. The weird thing is the badges are on sale this weekend, and the ESA, literally all they're saying is expect some fun celebrity appearances. 1 day of E3 is industry only now, and then 2 days are for the public, which means the prices are only $165 for a gamer badge this year instead of the old $250. And the theme is everyone can play, so come on down. That's all they've said.
Please.
We don't know anything. Yeah, please, we're begging you. They don't know. They haven't indicated anything about any other part of their plan. And the fact that the 2 day public, 1 day industry, and the fact that the celebrity appearances are confirmed in the press release and match the deck implies that everything's true. But we don't know. So they're asking people to buy something without actually explaining, like, how heavily will it be leaning on celebrities and influencers versus, the games themselves and the people who make them. And that's what's, like, kind of weird about it. Like, I don't know if that's do you feel that's the right route for them to go? I feel like it's not. I don't think anyone.
It definitely sounds less exciting,
right?
But
like, I think it was interesting because Jeff Keighley was asked about like, well, what would he do with E3 now that he's not involved, and he was saying that he thinks it should be more digital and global and inclusive, and basically he wants a digital E3, which it's basically what he did with the Game Festival that tied into the Game Awards, where he just had a bunch of demos on Steam. It sounds like he wants that. I don't necessarily agree with. I think I will say the Game Festival is a very cool concept, but I don't know. It just doesn't seem like maybe if he did that in tandem with like I don't know, like some sort of physical event where it's like there's a base for it and then stuff that goes around it, like how the Game Awards has like the Game Awards, but then the Game Festival sort of circulates it. Or maybe he just does like his own E3, just like G3. I don't know, Jeff's gaming grandstand, Jeff gaming Galooza,
and the Game Awards.
Jeff gaming. I mean, he already was producing E3, but I mean, what would you want it to be? It sounds like you've given this a little thought.
No, not necessarily. I think especially because I listen to a lot of video game podcasts, what a lot of industry folks haven't always had an issue with, especially these last couple of years that it's been open to the public, was just
the public.
The public, right?
Yep, I can relate. Yep.
And so it's cool that they're making one day available just to press.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if it's not going to be what E3 has been, what's even the point of having a press day only?
Yeah, and I think
you're gonna have access to some developers, sure, but like
they're not all gonna be there. That's what I'm saying. It's not gaming Christmas. Like I think the biggest priority to me is they have to capture the spirit of video game Christmas. Like if they could somehow convince all these companies, even if they're doing their own events, which they are, if they could convince them to just do them in the same week and just make it like, because all the like us gamers like, oh, we watch a Nintendo Direct whenever it airs. We watch. What's Sony's one called now? PlayStation
State of Play.
State of Play.
Those are terrible.
I know. Or Inside
Jesus
Xbox.
Christ.
Or whatever it is. Like, we will, as fans, watch those when they air. But if you're, like, CNN and you need to, like, do a write-up like, what's big in gaming this year, there is no, like, central... You need a central thing. And I don't know what that is, but I would love if they somehow still had, like, okay, it's Games Week or something. And, you know, maybe there's not a show floor. I think there should be. I love attending events.
Yeah,
but maybe
absolutely.
they can't justify it. Maybe, or maybe, you know, the companies are still a little skittish about being back to back to back. So maybe they do one every 2 days for a week straight or something. So they each get a little breathing room. I don't know. I want them all in one place.
I haven't been to them, but what E3, the sentiment around the industry is that E3 has to turn to PAX.
But that's the thing. How do they do that when PAX is already PAX?
PAX doesn't have the same grandeur of E3.
Yeah.
PAX is usually like a little bit more indie focused.
That's true. You know what's interesting?
Not in downtown LA.
That's also true. You know what's interesting about PAX and E3 is like PAX kind of ate E3's lunch a little. Like they sort of like they are doing what E3 was
should have been doing.
Yeah, exactly. Like E3's just lagging on it. And now what's happening with E3 is it's very similar to me to what's happened with CES, where CES used to be the hotbed. Every tech company would be there. Every tech company do a keynote. And now there's still tech news, and there's still going to be video game news at E3, but it's like, it's more like these like odd curiosities and weird like interesting activations, and then not much else, and all the other big companies do their own thing. So yeah, I guess, and you know, honestly, Nintendo started this. Nintendo was the one that really started this, because they announced that they're going to drop their press conference, they're going to do a direct, and yet they still go to the show and have these very specific but interesting activations for some of their games. It's not just a demo of all their games. It's not just their lineup. It's like, we are focusing on Zelda this year, or Mario this year, or we're going to focus on Luigi, Pokemon, and Link's Awakening. And each one, we're going to make this crazy thing where you're like in the game. It's going to be really cool, but that's it. And that's basically what they do at every convention, Comic-Con, PAX, whatever, Comic-Con New York. Except it's just a bigger, grander scale of it, and they bring in some of their executives. So, like, maybe that's the direction it goes in. Like, not every company's going to show everything. Every company still might have their own separate things, but they'll still, like, you know, throw together a little digital presentation and highlight a few of the gamerier games. And then if E3 itself can turn into PAX in terms of, like, getting industry folk to do panels and stuff, kind of what Coliseum was trying to do, maybe that's the secret sauce. I don't know. But it doesn't help that E3's had other issues too. I mean, they had the data leak last year.
That was rough.
Yeah, which if you guys want to find out about me, I'm in the leak. So
are you?
I am. Yeah, I was press. Yeah. I view it. This is going to sound super cynical, but due to the scale and size of our podcast, and saying this on air, I shouldn't do this. I'm getting myself roasted here, but I feel like for us, it was almost promotion that we exist versus any sort of actual negative.
It legitimized us.
It legitimized us. Sure. It was. I looked it up and I wasn't like, oh no, we're gonna get hounded. I was like, oh neat.
But that's not from the podcast, was it?
No, yeah, the podcast.
Oh, I thought that was from.
No. Last year was the first year we got in as the podcast.
Oh,
yeah,
crazy.
Yeah. So and
one of us, man.
Yeah, one of us. But the podcast, because of the size of it, we applied separately, and because we're small, they only let one of us in.
That's what we're assuming.
But what else would it be?
I don't know.
We had the same submission process and same info.
Arbitrary?
Maybe. Well, we'll see.
This guy's white. We'll let him in.
I'm going to apply again for this year, so we'll see. But
that's what I would like to think happened.
But yeah, it's. I think that's what happened. But yeah, I mean, what has E3 been to you guys? Because now we kind of talk about for me, it was really I swear it was like the biggest week of my year.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially when I got G4 every year. Oh man, the E3 coverage was like.
Yeah.
I remember I used to work at a supermarket when the first year that I actually had a job. I was bummed out that I wasn't going to be seeing all the coverage, and I missed I was working during one of the PlayStation conferences.
Mm-hmm.
I remember my buddy Matthew, who we talk about a lot on the show. Like on my 15-minute break, I went across. He lives across the street from the supermarket. I remember him telling me, "You absolutely have to come." Yeah. And that was the year where they finally re-revealed Versus 13, which turned into Final Fantasy 15.
Yeah,
I was like, "Whoa!" And like immediately, they finally revealed Kingdom Hearts 3.
Yeah,
and like man, and that all happened during E3.
Yeah, or like
it's like
even I remember. Oh, sorry, I think I cut you off. You about to say something?
No, I was just saying like even the how I said earlier that E3 was made for like Joe Schmo from Best Buy saying like I want 50,000 copies of that in our store as well. Obviously more than that, but
nope, only 50,000. I mean, if the new Samsung flip phone, the Z Flip, can launch with 900 units in Korea, and that's it, 50,000 for a game is crazy.
But I wouldn't say it wasn't necessarily Christmas, but it was definitely the biggest. Yeah, the biggest
Super Bowl,
week of
Super Bowl.
For us.
Yeah, and
I definitely look forward to just connecting like the computer to the TV or whatever it was, and just like sitting around with friends and watching it, or alone or whatever. It was an event.
In college, we did that.
Super Bowl is definitely a good.
We watched the Nintendo press conferences in college as a group a couple years. Actually, one year is what led to this podcast because we watched the presentation together as our senior year, so 2011, the year we started this, and our friend, who you already name dropped, Nigel, down in Texas, we were talking about everything that was discussed in the press conference. That was the year the Wii U was revealed, and we were so confused about the reveal because, we're like, wait, we know it's a new system, but it looks like an accessory. And we had, we talked about it for, a couple hours, I feel like. And Nigel at some point was just like, you guys just, put mics in front of your faces. Just do a podcast already. And then, sure enough, 6 months later. And now 8 years later. So, yeah, E3 is what birthed this podcast, in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah, weird. But yeah, I hope something good happens with E3. We'll see what happens this year. We're still going to cover it. I'll be there. I don't know if anyone else is planning to go. But we'll make it happen. At least one of us will be there with impressions.
I never plan to. If I just happen to be, great. Right. If not, then whatever. Because unfortunately, while it used to be this magical time of year, I could care less about it now.
Right. Yeah, that's the thing. It's waning.
The only thing,
which is so sad.
The only thing I only look forward to is just if there is a Smash Direct, if there will be. If there will be a Smash character reveal, or I guess I do pay attention to Sony's, but.
And you know what? That's something else that's cool about E3.
Only because, I don't know, for Sony, they're still, I don't know.
I mean, well, you own a PlayStation.
Yeah.
So.
No, I was going to say more then with Nintendo, there are things you already expect. And usually you do get what you expect. It's just I'm waiting for them to announce this new franchise or whatever.
Yeah.
But, I don't know, with Sony, usually, I guess because, I didn't have as much of a history with the PlayStation brand. I'm always excited to say, I wonder what
surprises.
Yeah, this is more surprise. I wonder what new IP is going to get announced. And I'm sure Nintendo could announce a new IP too, but I'm less excited about new IPs for Nintendo than I am for other consoles.
Which is funny, but I get it.
Yeah, because with Nintendo, I know what I like and whatever. But with something new, it's just I don't know. For some reason, it's more exciting. I guess I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know. More Uncharted territory. I guess.
More Uncharted territory. That's a PlayStation franchise. But no, what I was gonna say is that's the thing about E3 that I really liked. Is it wasn't even like I was geeking out about Nintendo. I used to like watching the interviews that Jeff Keighley or whoever would do with like the heads of Xbox and PlayStation. I went to Microsoft's press conference last year. I mean, it was on your ticket, Angel, but I went because I was like, ooh, I just like the industry. I just like seeing all the commotion and like learning what's going on and seeing all the cool stuff people are making and being part of all that. So like the year that Sony did Shenmue 3 and The Last Guardian and
Final Fantasy.
Yeah. I even was like,
insane.
What is happening? And I don't have any invested interest in any of those games. But it's like, this is insane because like I can appreciate it on like the gaming culture world level, and it's sad that that's kind of gone. But anyway, we'll see what happens with E3. It's still brewing, this whole thing, but it is a bummer that Jeff Keighley, who is the public face of gaming, basically, like the Washington Post covered that he wasn't going to E3. Like, he's a big face in gaming, and it's kind of a bummer that he's out, which means something's up. What it will be, time will tell. In the meantime, though, we've been playing some stuff. So that's pretty much it for news and the weird topsy-turviness of news. But, yeah, we've been playing some stuff. I guess we could go first with the simple Pokemon Home, which is a little less exciting. And, actually, I take it back. It's not topsy-turvy, because Pokemon Home had its own curveball, its own weird scrambled expectation, which is there are many Professor Oaks, apparently. Apparently, there's a whole, like, the same way that Rick and Morty has, like, the Council of Ricks and Endless Ricks, apparently Pokemon's now doing that with Oaks, it seems. Because we gotta start with, when you boot up the game, Grand Oak. Who is he? Why does he exist?
Yeah, he looks weird.
He's like the weird, crazy... You know what he looks like? He's like Doc Brown mixed with Professor Oak.
Honestly, I was already not on board after they announced Alolan Oak.
Yeah.
I mean...
But that was his cousin, so it's like kind of maybe.
Even then, I don't know. I was just like, this is stupid. He just looks like...
He's a Tanner Oak.
Like, cousins aren't necessarily like identical twins.
Yeah. This guy at least doesn't look
just
like...
him with a twin.
To be fair, Grand Oak does not look identical. He has some crazy hair.
No, he does. He just has long hair and glasses, but he still has like the same everything else.
I guess. There was one theory from a guy on Twitter named Taco that I think actually explains what Grand Oak is. And apparently there's an interview that Game Freak Game with Game Informer where they were saying that each time they introduce an Oak, or Oak is reintroduced, so not necessarily a new Oak, just Professor Oak is brought back in a new game, it's to be considered a new era or like period or chapter in Pokemon. So Grand Oak is kind of the overseer of all the eras of Pokemon, because Pokemon Home is supposed to be the catch-all for all the Pokemon games. So he's the God Oak, essentially, is this guy's theory based on that interview, which kind of makes some sense. That's why he looks so weird and has that name and grand. Yeah, but yeah, that was definitely a bit of a curveball when Grand Oak popped up. But once you get past him, what did you think of the app? I mean, were you like to? I think that messed with it, unless you have to.
I don't know. I mean, it was literally exactly what I expected it to be. Yeah. And literally every problem that I knew would happen ended up happening too.
Such as?
Well, like the whole like
Great. I love how it's so predictable.
Well, because like when we were talking about like it was mainly the trading.
Yeah.
Like I told you like, oh yeah, it's a nice feature, but I never touch it because people will hack their Pokemon and it'll cause issues.
Dude, they're not just hacking them in that way. Are you about to say?
Well, regardless, like
it's worse than what you led on to last episode.
Well, yeah, because technology's gotten crazier. There was only
do you know what I'm referencing?
Yes, just go.
You can say it.
No.
No,
you're obviously excited about it.
It's just so insane to me. So someone has hacked Pokemon in Sword and Shield that get traded into a game. They're called maliciously crafted Pokemon, and if you get them in a surprise trade, which is basically like randomized Pokemon from other people, they don't corrupt your save data per se, but they crash the game when you attempt to play online, and your online's forever broken in your save file.
Cool.
Yeah.
I know. Never touched that.
Imagine what happens if that's in Pokemon Home, and then they find a bug or an exploit in Home, and all your home Pokemon are erased forever.
It messes up your game. Yeah, before like you would just get like a Pokemon that just wouldn't work, and it'd just be called a bad egg. But it also can sometimes like just lock you out, but not like that. So yeah, problems arose like that. But everything else is like it's a nice home base to keep all your Pokemon. That's really awesome. I love that it has achievements. That's really cool.
It is interesting how they gamified it.
Like
isn't it?
Yeah, it's interesting. It's a neat app.
It's weird because, like, on some level, functionality-wise, it should be no different than something like the Switch Online app or the parental control app because it's a utility to achieve a thing, But it's actually presentation-wise and with the achievements more of like a game, which is kind of like it has background music, it has Grand Oak and his dialogue. Like it also feels like heavier than it needs to be because it is like it's a utility skinned as a game. But then they do add some game elements, like if you trade more, if you open the news 10 times, you'll get stamps, and those stamps get you Pokemon that you can then play in the game. So it is actually like a game, but it also has no gameplay. So it's this weird, like, in-between app.
Some of the achievements, though, like, just like following Joe Merrick, the guy that runs Therapy, seem like oddly specific, and it's like, oh man, like, if you really want to get all the achievements, like, I'm so sorry, I feel so sorry for you. Like, one of them is literally, like, withdraw a Butterfree from your account. Like, if they have like some achievements like that, then I don't know what other arbitrary Pokemon they would want you to just have like withdraw X Pokemon from this account.
Right.
So, pretty much you're going to have to at one point put every single Pokemon in there and get every single Pokemon out.
And that
which,
actually...
a lot of people will be more than happy to do, but it's definitely going to cost, it's definitely going to be a good amount of work if you didn't already have like all these games already like ready for Pokemon Home.
And honestly, that point that like you have to actually manually import all the Pokemon. This is gonna sound silly, but I kind of wish, like if we live in a cloud era, everything can sync, right? Like I kind of wish if you have encountered a Pokemon in Sword and Shield or in Let's Go or in Pokemon Go, they won't be uploaded in a Pokemon box. But I would love if their Pokedex entry was there. Like the thing that to me I'm kind of like, oh, is they have a national dex in the app, but it's only based on who you import into the app. I want to see every Pokemon I've ever encountered in all my Pokemon travels in every supported game. I think that'd be really cool, and it shouldn't be that hard to sync in just when you next connect online in any of the games.
Oh, no, I'm okay with that not being there. I'd rather it just be whatever you import in instead of just automatically...
But the whole idea is like this is your central hub of all your Pokemon activity, so shouldn't it know what you've seen?
No, I think keep those separate.
Do you have any reason why?
I don't know, organizational...
But the dex is not the same as your boxes. That's my point. The dex is hidden 3 menus deep on one screen only. So like in there they could show it. And they could even have a Pokeball next to it if it's in the box or a symbol or something.
I don't know. I think it's just just the way I would just like it to be portrayed, I guess.
Oh. Well, clearly so is Game Freak. But
there's no real rhyme or reason for it.
Yeah.
It's just how I
just feel like if it was like a fuller companion app, like if they did Pokedex 3D from the 3DS but then made it cater to the Pokemon you've encountered across all the different games, that to me would be like the cool thing. It just feels like they went so far with doing so much that one little thing.
When people say completing the national dex, does that mean just
that's everything?
That's everything.
But is that catching them or just encountering them?
No, that means you caught them.
Oh, okay.
Like you actually caught one of each.
But in every Pokemon game, any Pokemon you encounter still shows up in a limited form in your Pokedex.
Right.
And they don't even have to, what, maybe it's not encountered. Maybe it's any Pokemon you caught in any Pokemon game, regardless of whether you upload them into Pokemon Home, still gives you the Pokedex entry and says, yes, you have it. It's sitting in this game. There's your organizational benefit right there. So you know exactly who's where when. And it could all be cross-cloud synced. It just seems like such a missed opportunity to not let you see your broader collection and only see the ones you put into Home, which means they're taking out your other game. And in some cases, it's a one-way transfer, like from Bank. But if you knew you had them, that would be cool, I feel like. If it's from the collecting angle versus the setting up teams to battle angle.
Yeah, because that's a feature like that means like nothing at all to me. But, I mean, I don't know. I am going to pose that question to my brother-in-law who is literally like trying to create a living deck. So that... I'm curious to see if you actually would care.
Right, because it just seems like such an obvious...
But at the same time, he also kind of keeps track of everything in each game that he's playing, so it also kind of seems like...
But he has to do that manually. Why not just have the one app tell you? It's already telling you what Pokemon you have in the app. Like, why not just go further?
Well, knowing him, he's not even going to start Sword and Shield until he already transfers everything into those. Yeah. So it's going to be a non-issue.
Exactly
so.
You're talking about what you mean, yep. The only other thing about Pokemon before we jump to Persona is, Kevin, you did ask last episode, whatever happened to that Pokemon leaker?
Yeah.
I have an answer for you.
Let's hear it.
Exactly. No, he was, it turns out the leaker was a reviewer for a Pokemon, or for a Nintendo site famously called F Nintendo. They've been around for 11 years. They're Portuguese. He got an early copy of the game to review. And he was like, nah, and took some photos and uploaded some stuff. And now Nintendo's cut off F Nintendo, and F Nintendo's fired him. And, like, I don't, like... How big of a jerk you have to be to want to do something like that? Like, I don't just mean from the perspective of it ruining the devs and Nintendo's own, like, vision of how they're going to introduce these Pokemon, but I mean, like, to be in a position where Nintendo is giving you access to these games early, and you have a relationship with the company you love to cover that you have a whole website for, and then you just kind of, like, so many people pine to be able to do it, like, want to be able to do that. Like, I have been fortunate enough at one point in time to have been able to do that. And I just can't imagine being like, thanks, Nintendo, time to screw you over. Like, I just can't.
How long had he been employed?
I'm not sure. But I think it was long enough to gain the trust of the site, at least. It wasn't 11 years, like the site's relationship with Nintendo, but I can't imagine, like, doing that. Like, you're in a very privileged spot to have that
some people just want to watch the world burn.
Yeah, I guess so. But, yeah, I was like, that's dumb. Yeah. And, one other thing to keep in line with our Scrambled Expectations theme. There's one random thing about Pokemon Home we haven't talked about. In the APK, which is the Google Play file of Pokemon Home, is a random animated GIF. Have you guys seen this?
Yeah.
Angel?
No.
I'm bringing it up on my computer right now. Who wants to try and describe why this exists? This is in the file of Pokemon Home, officially issued by Nintendo and Game Freak and Pokemon Company.
Oh.
Anyone want to take a stab at describing this?
I'd rather not.
I mean, it looks like a mom trying to dance and she accidentally bumped her kid.
I mean, yeah, she's wearing like a two-piece something, and yep, she's sort of shimmying, and shimmies her butt right into her child.
Does she have 4 toes?
She might. It's some sort of animation. No one knows what this is, why it's here, or anything, but it's in the game. It's in Pokemon Home, and if you, listeners at home, want to see this cartoon mom, we should probably emphasize it's a cartoon. We didn't mention that part. Cartoons, line art mom of sorts, dance and shimmy and literally butt her kid out of the frame.
Either rotoscoped or really well animated.
Yeah, either way, if you want to see it for yourself, there's a link on the blog post. But it, of all the random unexpected things to happen on this podcast, or the news we covered, this is up there. This might be number one. But now let's talk about the other Scramble. Let's talk about Persona 5 Scramble, or the demo for the game that comes out in a couple weeks.
Ayo.
So that's all you, Kevin.
So, it comes out in a couple weeks in Japan.
Yes, in America, it's who knows when.
Yep. Yeah, so Persona 5 Scramble, for those who don't know, it's an action game co-developed by Omega Force, the guys behind the Dynasty Warrior games, and the Persona Studio. And it's set within the Persona 5 timeline. It actually takes place a couple of months after the ending of Persona 5. So that basically makes this game a sequel, which is interesting because usually spin-offs are just non-canonical. Mm-hmm. And now that I think about it, I think that means that Persona 5 Royal isn't canon, unless they still haven't shown that extra character that they added to Royal. But anyways, basic premise for the game is that there are shadows starting to attack people all around Japan. Shadows being the regular enemies that you face in Persona 5. All the cutscenes and the dialogue were in Japanese because, of course, it's a Japanese demo, so I had no idea what anybody was saying. I couldn't follow the story really. What do you mean? Did it sound as good?
Was the voice acting solid? Did you feel captivated by the emotion in their voice?
Honestly, no, because I played the game with dub because the Persona games always had pretty good dubs.
Gotcha.
Rub-a-dub though.
What this game did remind me though,
it just reminded me of that.
What this game did remind me of though was I used to know all the hiragana by heart, and now I don't. So that made me feel pretty bad. So yeah, Japan's being attacked, and that's where the Phantom Thieves, the cast from the original game, or as I think they're being called in this game, the Phantom Strikers, come in because that's the subtitle of the game. Persona 5 Scramble, the Phantom Strikers. You're just basically going around Japan with the crew and fighting shadows.
With your squad.
But you're not fighting them in the same way that you did in Persona 5, and that's because this game's combat is nothing like Persona 5's turn-based combat. Mm-hmm. Because, like I said, being developed by Omega Force, this is a Dynasty Warriors-like game. And we've seen this within the last couple of years of Omega Force taking a well-beloved series, and then they mix it with their gameplay that they've been doing for years. So we saw that with which one was the first one? Was it
Hyrule?
Was it Hyrule Warriors? So yeah, it was Hyrule Warriors. Then they did
Fire Emblem Warriors,
Dragon Quest.
Oh, you're right, Dragon Quest
with Dragon Quest Heroes,
and then
Fire Emblem Warriors, and then there was a sequel to. I think that's the only one that's gotten a sequel so far.
I very much feel like Omega is the type of studio that could do the perfect, like, hi, I'm Troy McClure. You may remember me from such things as Hyrule Warriors, Fire Emblem Warriors, Dragon Quest Warriors.
So they also did. So those are specifically. I mean, I don't know if Gundam, but I know the Gundam ones weren't received so well.
Yeah, no, they were not.
I'm not a Dynasty Warriors guy, and I didn't play any of those other crossover games. But I knew those, unlike the Gundam ones, those are at least positively received.
Yeah.
So, like, knowing that, I knew the gameplay was going to be, I guess, competent enough for me to see it to the end credits. But after finally playing the demo, I think I'm actually going to be having a lot more fun than I thought it would. Because they're integrating Persona 5's mechanics strangely, like, well. And it fits, like, this action type gameplay.
Right. So what's that look like? Like the
so similar to like a Dynasty Warriors or Fire Emblem Heroes, Hyrule Warriors, you're clearing out like just tons and tons of enemies using just a simple attack button. You're doing these basic 3-4 button combos. Sometimes a combo will actually bring out your persona to do damage to the enemies around. In Persona 5 you have, and like in Smash Ultimate, Joker has his knife, and he also has his gun, and you do get to use his gun. It's not like a third-person shooter, so it's nothing too crazy. You're basically just locking onto...
Basically a projectile.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Oh, you can actually lock on? Is that what you're trying to say?
You can only lock on with a gun.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Where it feels like the most like Persona is when you hit R, the game pauses and brings up your Persona skill menu, and it looks like it was straight up ripped from Persona 5's UI. And when you choose a skill, let's say, for example, a wind skill, Garu? I think it's called Garu. Nope.
I like these random interjections.
You get this little AOE ring in front of you that'll show you not just what enemies you're going to be hitting with that skill, but which enemies are weak to that skill. And when you do hit an enemy that's weak to a skill, they'll fall to the ground dazed, and then the little button prompt comes up. You hit that button, and you're doing an all-out attack. So all-out attacks are, for those that didn't play Persona 5, is Joker's Smash. Joker's Final Smash.
Oh, okay.
The little...
Yeah.
The really slick two-tone.
Yeah. So it's actually...
But I'm guessing in the actual game, you're not shooting stars out of their throat. Or, I mean, stars don't fly out of their throat.
I think it's supposed to be like... So in Persona 5, it's like blood. It's like...
Yeah, because in Smash Brothers,
it's stars, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I've never noticed that.
It's too violent?
I guess,
It's a T for teen game, not an M for mature game.
Yeah, so your party rushes that one enemy from wherever they're at, and they do that all-out attack, but it doesn't look as nearly as cool as the ones done in Persona 5 proper or Ultimate. It's just like the characters rushing that enemy and just flying by the screen.
Is the game less stylish in general?
Was I
getting ahead of you?
Yeah,
Sorry.
so you're getting a little ahead of me.
Sorry.
But with those all-out attacks, you're also clearing any enemies that enemy that you knock down. Mm-hmm. So that's a little bit smart. They do have this meter that's called the Showtime meter, and that's this game's equivalent of the all-out attack.
Wasn't that the name of the meter in Tokyo Mirage Sessions too, when you were talking about it last episode?
Was that? No.
Wasn't it?
No, it was called like Special Performance.
Oh, Special Showtime, Special Performance.
Special Performance,
same.
yeah.
It's all the same.
Yeah, so...
Mana, so all what it is.
So once you fill that meter, you're pressing, what is it? I think L and R. And that one will actually trigger a small cutscene. And not only do these Showtime attacks clear even more enemies than like a skill or the all-out attack, but they look really, really slick. It's just a small little cutscene. They look really cool. Mm-hmm. You can only really use Jokers in this one, but I've seen a couple of the videos that have been posted around, and they all look so unique. Like, that's where you got a little ahead of me. The style in this game, this game isn't any less stylish than Persona 5.
That is surprising.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm looking at a trailer now, and like, damn, like, I would, if I didn't know any better.
That's just Persona 5 to you?
A little bit.
Like, if you didn't know any better?
Yeah, if I didn't know any better, I would think this is Persona 5.
Yeah.
Like, that's impressive.
Because the game, like, I mean, I thought, like, part of, like, a cutscene, and, like, it looks like the production values are still there.
Yeah, so I think that has to do because Persona 5, the Persona team is co-developing this. Because, I don't know, did Nintendo co-develop
They
Hyrule
had
Warriors,
input. Like,
Right.
they had a producer on it.
Right, I think this one is being...
Those games vary, like, all the Warrior games up to that point. They swapped out some assets and stuff, but it was kind of the same look for all of them. Like, they warriored up Zelda characters. They didn't, like, Zeldify warrior characters.
Wait, the dude from Catherine comes out?
What? Which guy?
The main character?
It might be a skin that the main character...
Huh.
Because there was DLC for...
Oh, wow, this does look really stylish. I'm now getting to the trailer.
Yeah, there was DLC.
It has like a cell shading situation, kind of.
Well, yeah, that's how the original game looked out.
Right,
like,
right.
Have you seen the menus for Persona 5?
Oh, man, those menus are...
Yeah.
So those menus are amazing, and I kind of feel like they one-up themselves in this game, because now they're actually like
Angel's
3D.
so amazed he lifted his iPad and put it towards his face.
No.
Oh, you're going to show it.
Oh, no, that's the main character.
Oh, this is the back of him?
Yeah.
But yeah,
but it's funny, in Persona 5, there is a Catherine DLC pack where he is wearing Vincent's clothes.
It is crazy, though, that, like, I don't know what money Atlas threw at Omega, but, like, yeah, this is way more of a style palette swap than any of Nintendo's Warrior collabs.
Right.
Well, you know what they say.
What do they say? Please enlighten us.
When you find money, you throw it at something.
Who are the they that say that? You? Right now?
No, financially responsible people? I don't know.
Okay. Anyway,
yeah, but like I said, all of that game style translates really well. Like, what I wasn't expecting was a remix of the battle theme of Persona 5 Last Surprise, which you hear throughout your 100 hours of that game, because the only battle... Well, there's like 2 or 3 battle themes. But they brought that back. But this time, it has like a hard rock edge to it. And like it pumps you up, and it feels so appropriate for this type of game. Where like if you throw that one into the turn-based battles, I wouldn't be into it at all.
Oh sure, yeah.
But this is a fast action game, and it looks, oh man, the style that I feel like you could put Persona 5 style and like their cast and everything into any genre, and I'd probably play it, maybe not have fun with it.
But you'd appreciate
because
it
honestly the gameplay it could have been crap,
right,
but the style and the characters would have been enough for me to slog through it.
Well, that's what I love about Joker Stage and Smash is it's so stylish,
it's so dynamic,
and his like windscreen is so stylish.
That's just what this game is just like Bleed style. Thankfully that isn't the case where the gameplay is crap. I legitimately had fun with this. It was only like 45 minutes long,
right?
But like, I'm definitely now more excited for the final product. Before I was like, all right, just some more Persona 5 content, but like now I'm counting the days until.
And it's confirmed for America, right?
No.
Oh.
I don't think they said that they. I think Royal
they've copyrighted it for the U.S. or Royal
was the one that they confirmed for West, and that's coming out next month. But I think Atlas has been like quiet about this one coming
I'm
coming
checking
over the
to
States.
see if there's a date. Wikipedia would never lie, right?
I mean, I use it for everything.
It doesn't say.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Alice hasn't said anything about this.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if
In due time.
Yeah,
there's no way Nintendo wouldn't want them to do it, considering like Joker and Smash and everything. They want.
Right.
Could be a big grab. Interesting.
Yeah, but
so. Well, hopefully it comes stateside. You know, that might not be the only Persona game, too. Atlas has been running an interesting survey the last couple weeks over in Japan.
Oh, have they?
Yes, they did an online survey in Japan a couple weeks ago, and one of the questions was, what games would people like to see on the Switch? Specifically, if previous Atlas games which can be played on other hardware without adding additional elements, were ported to the Nintendo Switch, would you want to play them? Select all the titles that apply that you'd like to play on the Switch. And it was everything. Persona 1 through 5, their spin-offs, a couple of the Shin Megami Tenseis, 3 and 4, Catherine, Devil Summoner, a bunch of the Etrian Odysseys. Like, it was a list.
Was Demon Souls on that list by any chance?
I think it might have been.
Okay, cool.
I can't remember, to be honest. But
I think that's the only one that Alice published.
The interesting thing is, they then said on their Twitter after the survey closed, which was, I guess, a few days ago, that it was the single most... the most feedback the company's ever received on one survey, ever.
Oh, wow.
So I think think you're gonna be getting some Persona content on Switch besides Scramble.
Oh man,
that'd be pretty cool because
I'd be
want to play more of those games. Oh, yeah. I want to play those Persona games.
Yeah, I remember playing. Which was the Persona that was all yellow? Was it 3?
Persona 4.
4. It was 4. I remember playing Persona. I somehow ended up back when Nintendo was. It came out. Wait, when did that come out?
Persona 4?
Like 2007?
At the end of the PS2's life cycle.
So 2007, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I played it senior year of high school. I was still doing Random Nintendo. Atlas sent, like, as a daily site, Atlas sent me a review copy for PS2. I think I gave it to a friend. But anyway, I played, like, with that friend. We played through a bunch of it. It was really fun. And
that one is a lot of people's favorite for some reason. I never got into it.
With you?
Never clicked. Like, I finished it, but just never clicked with me.
But
I
much prefer 5 is your jam.
Yeah, of the ones that I've played, 1 and 2 are very different. They're more Shin Megami Tensei games than Persona games. But of the ones that I've played, it's probably 5, 3.
Yeah, so you're playing
second.
You're playing a spin-off of a spin-off of a spin-off.
Yes.
Yeah.
A spin-off of a spin-off.
Right. Which sounds silly out loud, but actually a lot of gaming's like that, isn't it? Now that I think about it. Because, like, if you think about Mario, Paper Mario is a spin-off of Mario RPG, which is a spin-off of Mario.
Okay, sure.
Like, it is like this sort of, or like Four Swords is a spin-off of A Link to the Past, which is a spin-off of the original Zelda. Well, not a spin-off, it's a sequel, but there's a lot of that.
Right.
Metroid Prime Hunters is a spin-off of Metroid Prime, which is a spin-off of Metroid. Huh. A lot of games do this 3D thing. Weird.
I mean, if we were to get Persona 4, Persona 5 proper, I guess it would have to be.
Would you double dip?
Oh man, at this point probably not,
because I'm a special edition physical copy thing.
Like I'd buy that, but I probably wouldn't. I probably wouldn't, especially considering that next month I'm going to be playing Royal, and trying to platinum that.
Right.
Then, man, I never platinum 5.
Speaking of next month, unless there's any topics I'm forgetting, our next episode will be at the start of next month on March 1st. That pretty much does it for this one, unless I'm missing something.
What?
Yeah, so our next episode will be on March 1st. Who knows? Maybe we'll have a direct by then, or some news with unexpected twists like we've had the last few weeks. I mean, at the very least, we'll be talking about some games. And I think we'll have our takes on the Sonic movie, barring any scheduling snafus I'm not thinking of. So to make sure you don't miss all of that, you can subscribe, whatever that may turn into. You can subscribe to us on every podcast app known to man. So we're on Apple Podcasts, we're on Google Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, Pandora, Spotify, YouTube. RoundNintendo.com is our channel on there. I feel like I'm forgetting one, but you can ask Alexa for us. You can ask Google for us. We're everywhere. Or you can just follow us on Twitter at RoundNintendo. Or you can follow us individually on Twitter. I'm JSR7, Angels Wero, WEIRO_O.
Don't wear it out.
Kevin is KVN Gomez. And unless I'm thinking of anything else, I don't think so. So, Kevin, you know the drill. You have the final word.
Watch Parasite.